Gino the snap, throws underneath. Jeanty at the 5, breaks a tackle. That's the third for Jeanty. He's into the end zone. The rookie with his third touchdown of the ball game. His second through the air. And the Raiders go back in front with 5:23 to go in the third, 20-16.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
Jason Horowitz on the call, Ashton Jeanty on the receiving side of things, not once but twice. That was against the Chicago Bears. That was a couple of his 5 touchdowns he had receiving. Also had 5 touchdowns on the ground in his rookie season for a total of 1,321 scrimmage yards, 10 TDs, 975 on the ground, 346 through the air. That was year 1 of Ashton Jeanty. Coming up on the show today, we'll talk about year 2 of Ashton Jeanty. And just want to tap on this thing, make sure this thing is on, because we got to get back to doing business, all right? We are back in business. How you doing, my man?
I'm great. I love that sound. Sound of your voice is great, too, but that's great.
Hey, man, back. I just wanted to tap this thing and make sure it's on. Make sure I still know what to do with it, man. I didn't know, I just didn't know. Sometimes you get away from it, and you got to figure out how to put the pieces back together. So after being off for a handful of days, matter of fact, a couple weeks, no unnecessary roughness, we're back full throttle, ready to go for another year. That's just what it's going to be all training camp long, obviously all season, and all the way through till, probably around this time of the year, coming up in 2027, Lord willing, we'll be here doing the same thing each and every day as we always do. But as you can tell, very excited to be back, excited to have Ari back in the studio doing his thing, as he's been doing double duty, holding it down on JT's show as well as producing that and now producing Unnecessary Roughness. So big ups to my man Ari, and big ups to the show that we have lined up for you today. We got some winning on the way. Ari, what kind of winning we got, man?
We got, where do I start? There's a lot of great winning, but we'll start with the Martin Lawrence tickets.
How dope is that? That's coming up on Saturday, right?
Yes, and a little birdie told me we might even be having a conversation with him this week. Well, we shall see.
Okay. I will tell you.
Tease.
That is the tease that we call that in this business. We actually went to the Martin Lawrence show. Me and the wife went not too long ago when he was here in Vegas, and actually sat in the front row, and it was pretty dope just because it's Martin Lawrence, and going back in the day and thinking about all the greatness that was Martin Lawrence and everything you saw from stand-up to Martin to Bad Boys to all his movies and everything, and how funny he is, and trust and believe he is that dude in person as well. So if you haven't had an opportunity to see Martin Lawrence, we will give you that opportunity this afternoon. So we got that winning on the way. I know the Summer of Fun is going on as well.
Yeah, going to send you, no big deal, just going to send you to New York City on the house. And a nice trip for that. And all you have to do is, I might as well let it roll right now.
Yeah, go for it.
The word of the day. As I do this all the time, I mess this up. I want to make sure I have the right word as I stall. And
it should be refresh, right? Refresh is the word.
Did you pick that on purpose because you're back and you're refreshed?
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, I tried to pick words this time that actually made sense.
Clearly, it was ingrained in my mind because I remember it easily without having to look it up or anything. Yeah, there you go. So REFRESH for a trip to New York City. Big shout out to Terribles, bringing back the Summer of Fun.
There you go. And I think that, I don't know why, but I saw on the text line this morning that it said energized, but that's actually tomorrow's word. Oops, that's tomorrow's word. So I don't know how they got all mixed up, but hey, there you go. So refresh is actually the word for today, and just a sneak peek that energized will be the word for tomorrow. But yeah, I'm sending you to New York City. Obviously being gone, I missed out on a few of the different trips that we sent folks on. And so what that means is that we're behind on sending people and giving away stuff. I like to make sure that we win on this show and on this station, make sure that we are the ones that are contributing here for the Summer of Fun. And since I've been gone, I haven't been able to do that. I was having my own Summer of Fun. So now I want to make sure that you have that Summer of Fun. So New York City, we got a trip for you. You can take the trip, take the cash. The cash is $3,000. So not too bad. Right? So all you got to do is text the word refresh, REFRESH, all one word, refresh, right? Just like something that you do when you're looking for something important online or on Twitter or whatever the case may be. You keep refreshing. Well, we're going to need you to go ahead and hit that refresh, hit the text line, and we'll get you in to win the trip to New York City, or you can take the cash. So we got a lot lined up for you on the show. Very excited, like I said, about the opportunity to be back with you as we normally do, 2 to 5 p.m. here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Kirk Morrison, Raiders broadcast, Tackle for Loss TV, former Raider linebacker, joins the show coming up at 2:30 as he normally does. He gets his Ricky Henderson on. He'll lead us off as far as our guests go, and it's always great to catch up with Kirk. So first show back, and boom, Kirk Morrison's in the mix there at 2:30. So that's going to be a fun conversation. We'll talk all things silver and black as we are definitely on our countdown to training camp, with training camp starting July 23rd for the rookies and July 28th for the veterans. That's when they report, and of course we'll be out there each and every day. So Kirk Morrison will start us off at 2:30. At 3 o'clock, we'll take a little bit of a turn, focus in on the World Cup and the U.S. men's biggest match in their soccer history as they're taking on Belgium. That'll be at 5 o'clock. Well, some ladies from Twin Peaks will be in the studio there with my man Ari. So if things get a little sideways and some buttons start getting hit the wrong way, and all of a sudden, you can't hear me anymore, and I'm like, hey, Ari, pay attention. You know what happened? The ladies from Twin Peaks, they took my man's attention away, and his focus is no longer there. But they'll be in studio for a handful of minutes just to talk about the environment there at Twin Peaks and, your experience that you can get when you're there to see the World Cup action. I'll tell you, I'll never lie to you and say that I'm a soccer head. I am not that dude. But even on vacation, I found myself watching soccer and watching, the World Cup at time to time, and just because it's been so exciting and there's so much fun action, and even watching last night, sitting here in the studio, and I was watching England take on Mexico. That was fantastic, and Norway got the big victory over Brazil. That was huge as well. Just watching all these, and Spain and Portugal, that just wrapped up with Spain getting the 1-0 victory over Portugal. So there you go, and that's just some really fun action when it comes to the World Cup. I have to admit to you, Ari, there is actually a time on vacation that I was watching, and I don't remember what match it was ahead of time. There was one that was live, right? And so I was watching it. When me and my guy Vegas Jess were watching it, and it went final, and Jess is like, hey, I'm going to go rest for a little while. I'll be back in a little bit. I was like, all right, cool. Well, the USA came on right after it, and I was like, hey, man, USA's on. So I sat there and watched the whole stinking thing. The whole thing. I didn't miss nothing. I even went to the bathroom. I hate to admit this. I went to the bathroom, and from the bedroom, I had a little angle if I just kind of opened the door a little bit. And, you ain't supposed to have the door open while you're in the bathroom, but I had a little angle where I was like, well, nobody will see me. So I was so glued in on that match, only to find out after I celebrated, and I text Jess. I was like, hey, man, you missed it. The USA won 2-0. He was like, yeah, Q, that was definitely a rerun.
Yep. Some soccer fan you are.
So I just didn't know, but the point is, that's how exciting it's been, is that I sat there and watched a rerun. So whatever.
You didn't just watch it. You were locked in.
Oh, so. I was locked in. You couldn't tell me nothing. Man, you could have told me $1 million was walking by outside, and I would have had to make a decision before I actually went and checked it out.
That's awesome.
It was bad business. But the Twin Peaks girls, they'll be in around 3 o'clock. And to stick with the soccer theme, my guy Emmett Golden from ESPN Cleveland, ESPN Radio. Now, he is a soccer head. This is a dude who on a random Saturday throughout the course of the year will be like, man, this soccer match is on. Like, he has a favorite team. He's got favorite players. He's soccer through and through. So I decided to tap in on with him at 3:30 just to talk about the World Cup, talk about this big match, obviously, with USA and Belgium, and obviously getting their guy back. They had a red card and was not going to be able to be in this one, and now all of a sudden he's going to be there. And Balogun, he's an absolute stud. So that's a lot of controversy going on with that. And like I said, I'd be lying to you if I act like I was some big soccer head. So I'm not going to do that. But Emmett will break it down, so he'll join us coming up at 3:30. Then 4 o'clock, Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. He'll join the show. Always great to catch up with him just to talk all things NFL. But he's got his series out. He does it every year. This is the 7th year in a row that he's been putting it out, and it's really cool. It's a top 10 ranking. I know right before you roll your eyes, it's like, oh, there's always rankings. He does it where he talks to execs, coaches, scouts, and they rank the top. And they have the 10 position, and they have multiple different positions, from cornerbacks to edge rushers, offensive linemen, interior offensive linemen, linebackers, wide receiver, QBs, everything, including running backs. Well, running backs is where he started. He started off today. So Jeremy Fowler will join us to talk about the top 10 rankings, how he came up with it, how guys that are on the outside looking in could work their way into the top 10 in this upcoming season, and that's where Ashton Jeanty and that conversation all comes from. So he'll join us coming up at 4 o'clock. So we got a big show lined up for you. There was no way that we were going to come in and creep our way back into the door. We were going to come through and kick the door down here on Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920. So a big show. Kirk Morrison at 2:30, the ladies from Twin Peaks at 3, Emmett Golden at 3:30, Jeremy Fowler at 4. We already gave you the word of the day. It's refresh. I saw someone text in fresh. It's refresh, REFRESH. refresh. Just text that in, and you only do it one time. You have till 5 o'clock, and you'll be in to win the New York City trip. It is the summer of fun here on RaiderNation Radio 920 Lotus Broadcasting. We're doing it all company-wide, as we always do. And if you don't want to take the trip, you can always take the cash, and who couldn't put $3,000 in their pocket? So text the word refresh to 702-365-9200. With all that being said, we got to hear from our guy E-Rob, because vacation was important. Yesterday was important. Tomorrow's important, but today is as well, and that's why?
Because every day matters. The older you get, the more you start appreciating day in and day out, because you know I can't get that time back. I'm in the business of saying, not if I would have did this or if I would have did that. I'm in the business of now.
I'm in the business of now as well. So right now, let's jump into the opening drive.
The opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920 AM is brought to you by Paul Patta Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
And all right, you'll appreciate this before we get into the subject at hand today on the show. Speaking of Vegas Jets, my man sent me a text, and we were saying that the word is refresh. That's the word of the day for the summer of fun. He said, refresh and so clean. So there you go. So it did a little Outcast action, but instead of saying so fresh and so clean, he said refresh and so clean. So there you go.
I want them to
know
win.
You being a hip-hop head, you could appreciate that as well. So, again, the word is refresh. If you want that opportunity at the Summer of Fun, that'll immediately get you in to win. But as I mentioned, I want to talk about Ashton Jeanty and how he could become a top 10 running back in year one under Klint Kubiak. What do you think needs to happen for him to get there? And like I said, Jeremy Fowler from ESPN puts this series out each and every year, and this is actually what he said when he opened things up earlier this morning.
I'm Jeremy Fowler. My top 10 running backs list is in based on votes from executives, coaches, and scouts. And one thing was clear from this process. Atlanta's Bijan Robinson, Detroit's Jahmyr Gibbs will be battling out for supremacy over the next half-decade. Both players are 24 years old. The voting was very close. They were trading first-place votes throughout. Even though Robinson won out, this quote from an NFL coordinator on Gibbs is crucial. It says, "Your eyes tell you there's no one like him with the ball in his hands." That's why Gibbs is going to be around in this voting for a long time. Both players are trying to get a contract extension this summer as well. James Cook is a player I thought would jump more. He only moved up from 8 to number 7 year over despite 1,600-plus rushing yards, but he's only 26 years old. He should be in the top 5 in 2027. And then one fast riser in the process, Cleveland's Quinshon Judkins, a rookie last year. He's an honorable mention. He's not in the top 10, but I expect him to be in there next year. A lot of executives are very high on his skill set in Cleveland.
So that's Jeremy Fowler just explaining the top 10 rankings when it came to the running backs. And look, it's not necessarily about yards and touchdowns. It's all around back. So when you go through the top 10, Breece Hall from the Jets came in at 10. Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, now with the Chiefs, came in at 9. Devon Achane from the Dolphins came in at 8. James Cook, as you heard Jeremy Fowler mention, came in at number 7 for Buffalo. Derrick Henry, who was number 2 last year, came in at number 6 for the Baltimore Ravens. JT, Jonathan Taylor with the Colts, came in at number 5. Christian McCaffrey, C-Mac for the 49ers, number 4. Saquon Barkley with the Eagles, 3. Jahmyr Gibbs with the Lions, number 2. And Bijan Robinson, number 1 with the Atlanta Falcons. He mentioned honorable mentions, and there were honorable mentions on his list, because as you heard, you didn't hear any Ashton Jeanty. When he had the season he had with the yards he had, not hitting 1,000 yards, you can assume that he wasn't going to make the top 10. But honorable mention, Josh Jacobs with the Packers, Kyron Williams with the Rams, Quinshon Judkins with the Browns, also DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, Chase Brown, Ashton Jeanty, Travion Henderson, Travis Etienne, and Alvin Kamara. All of those guys were receiving votes. But the honorable mentions were Jacobs, Williams, and Judkins. So I just want to get into the conversation because we know the running back position is important in a Klint Kubiak-led offense. As a matter of fact, the day he got hired, one of the early conversations we had here on this show was who's going to be the happiest guy, who's going to benefit the most from this hire of Klint Kubiak. And I believe most of us said it was going to be Ashton Jeanty. Again, because we know that the running back position is so important in this offense. We saw what Kenneth Walker, who again came in at number 9 on this list, now in Kansas City. It's wild, right? A Super Bowl MVP, he takes his free agent, his opportunity, and goes to Kansas City. It's very rare that you see that happen when you have an MVP running back all of a sudden end up with another team. But here, there you go, right? So he's there, took the money and took the opportunity and ran with it. He came in at number 9. So again, I throw the question out there to you, right? Can Ashton Jeanty become a top 10 running back in year one under head coach Klint Kubiak? What do you think needs to happen for him to get there. Again, I threw out the yards just so you had a little bit of perspective, but I also want to tell you who the top 10 running backs were, because there was, I mean, if you go back and just looked at stats alone, you would say, wait, hold on, that running back wasn't top 10. So it's not always necessarily just the stats, because James Cook was the number 1 running back stats alone in the league, and Derrick Henry came in at number 2. Breece Hall was number 15, and he came at number 10. You know, Kenneth Walker was number 16, as a matter of fact, and Ashton Jeanty wasn't too far behind that. He was actually 18th, and Josh Jacobs came in at number 20. When you just look at the numbers, just pure numbers. But when we start talking about Ashton Jeanty and his worth to this team and how valuable he could be, and knowing that you have Kirk Cousins, you have Fernando Mendoza, you have Aiden O'Connell, we know that a best friend to a quarterback is what? A strong run game. And as long as they're able to come up with this offensive line scheme, as long as this blocking scheme can really come together, obviously it's going to take a lot of work from those dudes, but if they can come together, I don't see any world where he can't be a top 10 back. Between his rushing ability and his pass catching ability, and that's the game changer. Right, I think we had Adam Hill on the show. I can't remember if it was Adam Hill or not, but we had him on the show before the Raiders ever drafted Ashton Jeanty, and he said the one question I have about him is how well is he going to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure if it was Adam Hill or if it was someone else, but I think it was Adam. And then later on, he came on the show and was like, hey, man, pretty impressed with what he's able to do in the passing game. And you saw that last year, getting 346 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns by way of the receiving game. And we heard earlier this year where Klint Kubiak, referenced Christian McCaffrey. Now, not necessarily saying that Ashton Jeanty is going to be C-Mac. Look, that's some big shoes to fill right off the top. And, I would like to see a little bit more before I start to anoint him that guy. But if he can play that kind of role in this offense, as much as we talk about, well, where's the receiving yards going to come from? Who's the number 1 wide receiver? Who's this guy? Who's that guy? Like, he can end up becoming an X factor, even though he's there. Not a guy that's slept on, but a guy that can end up playing a bigger role than most people expect. I mean, I know that we heard Klint Kubiak talk about a wingman and have a running back by committee, and they're going to do that. There's no doubt about that. But it's not going to be like a 50-50 split, right? If anything, it's going to be majority of Jeanty, and then there'll be, you sprinkle in Mike Washington, right? You sprinkle in, others that are able to play a role in this running game as well. But I think Ashton Jeanty is really in line. As long as that offensive line, that's the biggest thing to me. As long as this offensive line can come together fairly quickly, I think he's in line to have a monster season. And we talk about win-losses for the Raiders and what we expect in year one and, what would be acceptable and what's not acceptable. That could be one of the reasons why the game has changed. If the running back is able to produce like we think Ashton Jeanty can produce, that's going to sustain drives. That's going to keep the defense fresh, keep them off the field as much as they had to be on the field last year. That's going to allow the quarterback to get into a rhythm and get comfortable in the pocket because it's not all going to be on the quarterback's shoulders. Like, there was a lot that went wrong for the Raiders last year, and I don't put it on any one person. I look around the whole process. It was like, yep, that was wrong, that was wrong, that was wrong. Right? As bad as Geno was, it wasn't 100% on him. Now, he had his faults. Don't worry. Don't get me wrong. He had plenty of faults, but it wasn't all on him, right? The offensive line couldn't protect me or you from anything, right? I mean, they were just bad, and not necessarily because they're bad players. It was just because the scheme was flawed. Again, I don't just point one person and say, oh, it was all his fault, right? Pete Carroll, offensive coordinator, those guys weren't on the same page. Like, nothing seemed to work together in 2025, which results in a 3-win season. And you get the number 1 overall pick. So now you get refreshed with the new head coach that has proven to be sharp when it comes to offense. No matter where he's been, the offense has gone well. So I think the biggest key, I could easily see a 1,200-yard season on the ground and a good 500 yards through the air. Now, the one thing about this is, and Lincoln says it all the time, whenever he's on the Squad Show, this show, any broadcast that he's on, there's only one ball. There's only one ball. So if Ashton is eating and they're feeding him and he's touching the ball 25 times a game, guess what? Right? That's less touches for someone else. So you're not going to have the number 1 in everything. And I'm not saying that you have to have the number 1 when it comes to Ashton Jeanty. He doesn't have to be the number 1 running back. He doesn't have to be Saquon Barkley, go for 2,000 yards. I know everyone would love to see that. It'd be awesome. But he doesn't have to be that guy. But you have to have a quality run game. right? You have to. You can't have where the guy is trying to make everyone miss by the time the ball's touching his belly. And that's exactly what he did last year. I mean, he got so many yards after first contact. I mean, he was in the upper echelon when it comes to that. Every time we have Cynthia Freeland on, from the Numbers Game on YouTube and NFL Network, or we have Lindsey Rhodes from SumerSports.com, they all say the phenomenal job that Ashton Jeanty did his rookie year. He basically defeated all odds. You look at what he was working with, and it wasn't much. And again, I don't put it even on all the guys on the offensive line. I put it on the way that they were coached up and the way that they were taught to, hey, run the scheme like this. And I'm sure a lot of them probably looked around like, what the hell are we doing? I mean, you could have a lot of talent, but if you're not being coached up and taught correctly on what you're supposed to be doing, it's not going to work. So, again, just looking at the numbers, Ashton Jeanty came in 18th last year, 975 yards rushing with 5 TDs, 346 yards receiving, 5 TDs. So not a bad season if you just look at it in whole. Scrimmage yards, 1,321, and 10 total touchdowns. But that was good for 18th as far as just your ranking. But when it comes to all-around player and significance and importance, like I have no doubt when Jeremy Fowler's list of tight ends comes out, Brock Bowers is going to be either 1 or 2. Right, as he should be, even though he had a down year. So maybe with the down year because he was injured, maybe he ends up 3. But he ain't getting out the top 5. That's for damn sure, right? We could all say that, right? He's a top 5 tight end in a season where the Raiders only won 3 games. I think we could all agree that that's a top 5 talent. So it's not always necessarily the yards, the touchdowns, even how many games that the guys, played. But this is going to be one of the biggest keys, I believe, to the Raiders' success in 2026 is making sure that ground game gets going and making sure Ashton Jeanty is the weapon that he was when he was at Boise State and he was expected to be when he was drafted number 6 overall just a year ago. I mean, hell, Ari, you remember when the Raiders drafted him, how excited was John McClain about him?
Yeah.
I mean, he was Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like, he was giving him every award that he can give him. But way before he ever touched the ball, right? He hadn't even walked across the stage in Green Bay yet. And John McClain was already giving him the Offensive Player of the Year. He was talking about how much he's going to help this team grow and, allow Pete Carroll to do what he wants to do. Like, everyone had a great vision for Jeanty. And I think the Raiders did as well. They just didn't know how to execute it. Didn't have the right hand working with the left hand. Let's just put it like that. They were like the, California child support division, right? The right hand don't speak to the left. Hey, man, look. Hey, man, I was a product. I can say that. Hey, man, look. As long as you've been there, you can talk about them all you want.
Amen.
I worked my way in and I worked my way out, so I'm good. I can talk about them as much as I want to talk about them. But I can tell you, and anyone else that knows, I know someone right now is driving in Cali. Was like, "Amen, Q. Amen." The right hand don't talk to the left hand, and that's what was going on with the Raiders last year. The right hand wasn't talking to the left hand, and so you couldn't expect to have success. You just can't. So we throw it out there, and I'll go out to the phone lines in a hot second. 702-365-9200. Don't forget, Kirk Morrison joins us coming up at 2:30. Can Ashton Jeanty, in your opinion, become a top 10 running back in year 1 under head coach Klint Kubiak? What would need to happen for him to get there, in your opinion? Got a couple texts real quick. This one's from Just Win Will. Aloha, Q. Aloha, Ari. Aloha, Nation. Glad to have you back, my guy. Glad you had a great vacation, but we need you back, my guy. LOL. Have a great show. Go Raiders. Well, I'm back, and we're going to have a great show. That is for sure. How about Barry in Baltimore? What's up, Q and Ari? Hope you enjoyed your vacation, Q. Glad the show is back today, and I'm ready for this Raider content you guys provide on the daily leading up to training camp into the season as well. Oh, I love Marty Marr. Molly Marr. Yeah, Martin, one of my all-time favorite shows, no doubt about that. Barry, thanks so much for that. We got tickets on the way coming up not this hour, but on the show. We will have tickets. It's whenever Ari feels like he needs to go ahead and give those tickets out. So we do want to continue to hear from you at 702-365-9200. It's been a couple weeks. I know he missed us. The Money Man. I was talking about you on vacation. Yeah, I was. I don't know why, but I was. Money Mitch, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
What's wrong with you? Aloha, Q, Ari. Hope you had a great vacation. Sounds like you did. I missed the first 2 minutes. I'm sorry. Get a little hectic here at times. I got to pick my spots.
Yeah, I know. I know that's right.
I give you 5 things. You can guess which one I'd rather watch. A, World Cup. 2, Seinfeld. 3, King and Queens. 4, USC football, 5 Dodgers. Which one who will be the first on my list?
I would probably assume it's USC.
You got it. And I'm hoping Jeanty can have a good year, 1,500 yards. Maybe I like the 2 running backs. Maybe you can take some carries from him, but he can catch and pass out of pass. Because the only truly good catching Raider is Brock. He's the only guy that he's going to be an All-Pro, guarantee. He'll have over 1,000 yards receiving. So maybe he can be a little bit like C-Mac there. That is good, but it's for his second year, and I think he's be like the AI of football. I mean, he's only 5'8". That's incredible. What the pound he takes. They still don't want to protect the running back. That's why careers are short.
He's a stud, though. He's a stud. So there you go. You're expecting him to have a Christian McCaffrey type season? That what we're saying?
I hope so. And I got one thing for your mom. Don't worry.
Hey, easy.
The Lakers got better without LeBron. Okay? Did you see the four guys? They and they got rid of DeAndre Ayton. He's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you get with him. Mrs. Q, Mrs. Mize, the original Mrs. Mize. Don't worry, Lakers will be fine.
There you go. There you go. Money Mitch, thanks for the call. It's great to hear from you, brother. My man said, I got something for your mom. I was like, hey, hold on, man. It's just been back. It's only been 26 minutes, man. You're already firing some slugs at me. But, okay, I got it. That was a good one, talking about LeBron and the Lakers. And, yeah, LeBron made the decision while, I was on vacation to decide he wasn't coming back to the Lakers, even though that decision was already made for him. Kirk Morrison, Raiders broadcast, Tackle for Loss TV. A longtime Raider linebacker joins us next. Again, I throw the question out there to you. Can Ashton Jeanty become a top 10 running back in year 1 under head coach Klint Kubiak? What would need to happen for him to get there? Let us know your thoughts on the text line, 702-365-9200. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
That was the opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920 AM. Brought to you by Paul Padala. It's not about the injury. It's about the recovery.
Gino up the middle. Ashton Jeanty through the hole. Touchdown Raiders. Deuce in the end zone. The Raiders pay off the opening drive and go up 16-0 with 7:04 to go here in the third.
Las Vegas Raiders color analyst Kirk Morrison joins us now on Unnecessary Roughness.
Ashton Jeanty with one of his 5 touchdowns in his rookie year on the ground right there. That was against the Tennessee Titans. He had 5 on the ground, 5 through the air, had 1,300-plus scrimmage yards and 10 total touchdowns. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920, and pleased to bring in my guy, Kirk Morrison. He joins us now here on the phone lines, and you can hear Kirk on the call right there saying, that's a touchdown, and that was a touchdown. And, Kirk, thanks so much for the time. Definitely appreciate you as always. I know it wasn't the season that a lot of people expected from Ashton Jeanty his rookie year because, well, so many elements played against him. But being on the call and being upstairs and being able to see how he operates and catching the ball, running the rock, what did you see from Ashton his rookie year?
Man, Q, I saw a lot from him, and I think we saw it all the way in the preseason. Remember, he got his first opportunity, and he ran, I forgot, somebody over. And we were like, hey, get him off to the side. Like, we got to put bubble wrap on him. Because we saw the potential, and I think he really honestly surprised us. He was a bright spot in an offense that at times showed flashes, but yet Ashton Jeanty, we kept seeing some of those flashes, I'm saying, in which it's like, man, I wish it could be more consistent, right? Mm-hmm. You saw him in certain games, whether it was him receiving out of the backfield, whether it was him getting to the second level, where it's him even by the goal line, the receiving touchdowns. It was just so many times I saw him, and I was like, man, if there was a consistency within the offense, and look, I will go to my grave with this. If Brock Bowers doesn't get hurt week 1 against New England, I think the offense looks totally different last year. Now, I'm not saying it would have been drastically different, but right. I thought that our one alpha in terms of who can win the one-on-one matchup every single time. If I see one-on-one with Brock Bowers, I'm throwing the ball his way, regardless. You're not going to cover him. When he got hurt, teams literally said, you know what, we can cover him now because he's not 100%. And I thought that that's where everybody said, Brock is not 100%. Let's key in on the next best thing for the Raiders, which was the run game. and we just never got Ashton Jeanty going because the boxes were overstacked, and he just couldn't do anything. He would get hit before he even get the football half the time.
Yeah, exactly. No, we talk about that all the time. Where he was able to make so much out of so little his rookie year, and I'm glad you brought up Brock Bowers being injured because I hadn't even put that into the equation. I hadn't even thought about the Brock Bowers being injured effect because we've been talking about what he could look like this year in this Klint Kubiak-led offense. How effective do you think Ashton Jeanty with the healthy Brock Bowers can be?
I think he could be, he could be up there. I think the numbers are going to be different. And I think it's also the plan in which I believe Klint Kubiak has, and we'll see when the season starts. I think we'll see a lot of the 12 personnel that we envisioned last year under Chip Kelly. I think we'll see a different version of it and how Klint Kubiak utilized that to run the football. And I think right now you're seeing around the league 12 personnel, 13 personnel, one back, two tights, one back, three tight ends. It's kind of where the league is shifting to. We'll see what defenses put out there against it, but the success of that personnel grouping involves the running game. And so that means you're going to see a lot more runs and giving Ashton a lot more opportunities to run the football with extra good blockers on there. We're not going to see a lot of these shotgun runs. And if you've ever had a chance to watch me in the booth, I am not a fan of the shotgun run. Okay, yeah. I am not a fan of a third and short in shotgun run. And I can tell you this: the Raiders were not very good in short yardage. Not good. They just were not a good because everything was out of shotgun. Right. So now when you go under center, it just didn't look right. I believe it was one time where they fumbled the ball, I believe, last year in a situation where remember Kenny Pickett came in the game, his first snap against Kansas City?
Yep.
First snap against Kansas City. He's been in the game 5 minutes. He even licked his fingers yet to get the snap, and the ball's already – I'm like, come on, what are we – but that will be – that's the part where I'm thinking how drastically different the offense will be this season versus last year. Just those little things and being able to go under center – that's going to help out Ashton even more. So if I had to, and I'm glad you brought the question up because now that I'm kind of, as I talk, I see it. Yeah. So I have these clips in my head that I'm watching now, how the running game will be different just because Kirk Cousins or Fernando Mendoza, Aiden O'Connell will be taking snaps from center, and they'll be turning their back to the defense after they hand it off or they keep the football. So now you don't have a defensive end on the backside crashing down, and that's where I saw Ashton Jeanty get better at cutting the football back, but holding that defensive end is going to be crucial now, and under center helps that a lot.
Kirk Morrison is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. I'm so glad you brought up the 3rd and 1 or 3rd and goal and the shotgun because I hate that run as well. It bothers me to no end when that happens, but you're a defensive guy. As a defender, when you see that, what are you thinking?
Well, when a guy's in shotgun, it's easy because all the gaps are open. So now, look, we know, hey, everybody just stay in your gap because it's going to have to be a run that at some point is going to come downhill. But if we slant, if we put some studs in there, we can force the football to go out a different way, meaning that if I stuff my A or B gaps, then the running back has to, bubble the ball out. Right. Well, if he bubbles the ball out, we've got some force out there with an outside linebacker or a corner coming in for support in that short yardage goal line. When you're under center, it's totally different now because you don't know which way the quarterback's going to come out. Think about it. If the running back is on the left of the quarterback, he's not going to kick the ball and go left. The run has to start going to the right, and then he can cut it back left. But majority, he's going to move to the right. That's just how it is. It just cuts off so many runs when you're in that shotgun running back offset. But when he's in, I call a dot back or an ace, when he's right behind the quarterback, we call it dot because it's kind of like the dot on the period, right?
Yeah.
Or the when you dot the I. Mm-hmm. When he's in that dot back position, as a defender, I don't know which way he's going. Is he going to go left? Is he going to go right? You know what I mean? Because you don't know. Yeah. Literally, it's 50-50. A little bit different when he's in shotgun lineup on one side. He can really only go one way, which can hurt you.
I like it. I love it. Kirk Morrison, Raiders broadcast, Tackle for Loss TV, longtime Raider linebacker with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. I know there was a lot of questions when Ashton came out of school. We all knew he could run the rock. He went for a bazillion yards at Boise State. But there were a couple questions. What is he going to do as a receiver? How did you see him grow his rookie year as a receiver?
I just think he utilized his opportunities, right? When he got the ball, he made things happen. Was that the Chicago game, I believe it was, or Tennessee? What was the game?
The Texans, he caught a couple passes. Remember the Texans game?
Yeah, the Texans was the ones he caught him in the open, kind of in the middle of the field, and then took it up. I'm thinking of the one that he caught him left sideline, and he broke a tackle, and it just kept going. I believe it was Chicago. I got to figure out what game that was. I just remember in my mind it was like he caught the football, got up the sideline, the defender couldn't tackle him, and he raced into the end zone. I'm saying that's Ashton Jeanty right there. I had a buddy of mine always would say this: what's the difference between a 5-yard run and a 5-yard reception? There's no difference. It's still 5 yards. So basically, you're doing the same thing and getting him yards without having him have to go run into a brick wall every single play. So I love seeing the aspect of Ashton Jeanty catching the ball out of the backfield, and I'm sure you saw it at minicamp. I know I saw it at minicamp. The attention to detail and the drills that they're doing, the running backs catching the football. Look, they're going to do a lot more. That's all I'm saying. I think the running back is going to be a lot more involved in the passing game than what this offense looked like last year, because I'm watching them at practice, and everybody's catching the football. Mike Washington, right, he's going to be doing that. Connor Hayward is going to be able to do that as well. Like all the running backs are going to have that opportunity. And then you throw in, obviously, all the tight ends. So everybody around the line of scrimmage is going to have an opportunity to take checkdowns and go 5-10 yards, get extra yards. That's something that we didn't see enough last year. Everything was trying to get deep down the field, and when it wasn't there, I don't think we utilized the check down enough, because when you did, Ashton found ways to be productive with the check down.
And even if you use the check down, I mean, that's just going to make a guy like Kirk Cousins or Aiden O'Connell or Fernando Mendoza, whoever's behind center, that'll make him more comfortable out there on the field, won't it?
It does. And if you want to double team Brock Bowers, and look, Jalen Naylor, I think is going to be amazing. He's got the speed. The same thing with Trey Tucker. Utilizing, I think, Jack Besh, and who to me is more of a possession receiver, who is more of a guy who is going to like Jack Besh isn't going to shine in OTAs and mini camps. Right. He won't. That's not his game.
Right.
He is a physical wide receiver and a guy who's going to be able to get open, and he shines when the pads come on. So when he's got the pads on, that's when a guy like Jack Besh really is going to open up. And so now you've got some options on third down that, okay, I'm okay with. If Besh is open, I can hit him. Tucker's open, I can hit him. Naylor's open, I can hit him. My number one guy, obviously, is going to be Brock Bowers. And at the end, if it's all not there, or I get the matchup that I want, I can give it to Ashton Jeanty, and he can get positive yards. It's not a bailout. It's what a college coach told me a while back. It's just what they call it a UAR. Okay, it's not a check down, but a UAR. UAR stands for underneath available receiver. That's what it is. He's available for a reason. Get it to him and allow him to go out and make some plays, or make a guy miss and turn a 2-3 yard gain into a 5 and a 7 yard gain. But what happens then? I'll tell you this. I learned. Okay, I learned, because I was like, I'll give up that little underneath receiver, right? And then all of a sudden they threw it to him, and then the receiver turned that little 3-yarder into a 7-yarder, got a first down. So the next time they go back to it, I see the underneath check down. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to go run get it. Soon as I ran up and to go get that underneath check down, which I thought he was going to throw, Kurt Warner throws that 13-yard in cut behind me to Larry Fitzgerald, and it's first down. So that's the dilemma that it puts you in. That's what Ashton Jeanty can be, the guy that puts the linebacker, corners, and safeties in. His dilemma is, man, if they throw it short, he can turn into a first down, but if we don't go up and get it, it opens up that little 13, 14-yard in cut right behind you.
And it feels like Klint Kubiak is that guy from what we've seen, no matter where he was, New Orleans, Seattle, wherever, that's creative enough to be able to put that strain and stress on the opposing defenses.
Right, like how many times last year did you see it? And we're all looking for Jackson Smith and Jigba here, but here's third down, and there's Cooper Kupp for the first down.
Yep.
Right, Cooper Kupp would have like 5 catches, but like 4 of them on first down to keep the chains moving. Right, so that's who's going to be that guy for the Raiders too. By the way, who's going to be that third down guy that you can really rely on? That's why I'm saying, could it be like a Jack Bech? Could it be, obviously Brock Bowers is your number one target. But then who's that next target after that? Because, I mean, obviously we know this big past weekend was the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift wedding, and I did a breakdown on the Chiefs last week. You know who the Chiefs' number one receiver was last year?
It wasn't Travis Kelce.
It actually was. See,
was it
we
really?
all think it wasn't, but it was. Right. Look at reception.
Wow.
Look at it. That's how – but see, we're not going to talk about how Patrick Mahomes – and the Chiefs, they need a number one wide receiver. They need number one. They've been drafting receivers in the first round for the last couple of years. They got receivers, but doesn't matter. Their number one target is the tight end who is still productive in Travis Kelce. That's going to be the Raiders. Let's just be real. Brock Bowers is a number one tight end. I think I heard before I came on you were talking about the tight ends and all that. Look, the number one tight end is going to be, to me, is Brock Bowers, who is fully healthy. I had a chance to play softball with him on Team Brock Bowers a couple weeks ago for Team Brock. And, man, the dude is like you don't know how fast he is, so you're standing next to him. And I'm like, this dude can really go. Right. Like, this ain't no make-believe. This ain't no, old school. This is Gronk or, this is the other type. No. He is 1A.
Nice.
Maybe just one when it comes to tight ends. And so I bring that up as that he is your number one main target. And then you've got a bunch of guys who are going to be wide receivers that will play off of Brock, where you don't necessarily need to be looking or going out to find a veteran number one guy. Your number one guy wears 89.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's funny, man. I was just looking at Travis Kelce's numbers. It wasn't even close. I mean, he was the number one receiver. It wasn't even close. Wow. But
don't tell people that. Don't tell it out loud, because people are all like, you need a receiver. You need a number one. Patrick Mahomes, who some will say is the best quarterback in the league, he doesn't have a number one wide receiver. He doesn't have – and they bring in veterans. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins. They brought in Marquise Hollywood Brown. They bring in Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Tyreek Thornton. You can just start naming all of the receivers they bring in. But yet it's always funny how that narrative is different versus the Raiders, because everybody else, the Raiders need to bring in a veteran. They need to bring in – well, what? You don't think the Chiefs need to bring in a veteran that's productive? So, oh, man, it's just funny, man, because we are at that time of year where it's ranking season, it's list season, and it's rumor season. So we got about 3 more weeks for the rookies report. And then, July 28th, I'm ready to see all the guys get back to training camp and, see what this 2026 Raiders team will start to look like and shape up.
Yeah, man, we're excited. We're fired up, and we are counting down the days just like you're counting down the days. So fantastic stuff as always, man. We're always learning some stuff whenever you join the show. I do got to ask, though, I was out of town. I was on vacation. How did the softball game go?
The Knights beat us. Team Smith. They still on the heater from the season, okay?
Right.
So the Golden Knights are still on the heater from obviously being in the Stanley Cup final and going out and coming up short to Carolina. But, man, those dudes were great. It was fun playing. It was I had an opportunity to sit down and just chat with our guys, and be around, Mike Washington and, I asked Kieran Crawford, can I borrow $1 now? Because he had just signed his deal. So now, Kieran, hey, what's up, dog? Hey, let me get a little something, what I mean? But to see him and to see Jalen Naylor in that space of being back home in Las Vegas and the reception that he got from the crowd, being a hometown kid, Jonah Laulu as well. So it's excited, man. Kwity Paye is athletic. The dude, hey, he hit a couple of home runs. Like, how they say, I wasn't familiar with your game, Quiddy, but man, okay.
But now I know.
But now I know. You know what I mean? So he hit a couple over the fence. And so, man, it's just exciting to see the guys and how pumped up they are for, what's upcoming when it comes to training camp.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, I'll tell you what, they're not alone, man. All of us are fired up. Raider Nation's fired up. I know you're fired up as well to see what this is going to look like. So I got one more question. I know Rich Eisen is on vacation. Are you sliding in and holding it down for Rich Eisen at all this week?
I did last week. So I did a couple of dates last week. I'm not going to do it this week. I'm doing for me, I got about a good 3 weeks where I'm trying to spend as much time with the family as I do some stuff at home because, it's going down. But
I already know.
I'm always around football, man. Every level. Last week I was at the Nike opening, which was a top 150, high school players. Went up to Beaverton, Oregon, so I did that. I got the NFL flag football championships coming up in a couple weeks. That's the 15 and under boys, 18 or 17 under girls. So I'm all about football, and it doesn't matter where it's at any level. I'm going to be around football, so I'm excited for that. And then my college football duties. I got media days over the next 3 weeks.
Yes.
So I'm concentrating on the media days over the next couple of weeks. Really watching Big 12, ACC, SEC. So I got a lot on my plate, man. So I was like, I'll be able to work from home for a little bit before I start to hit this road.
Yeah, man, do that. Get a little family time in before because, like you said, it's going to be full throttle, as we know, and you're about as busy as anyone. So fantastic stuff.
We do 2 vacations. So we did, real quickly, Q, we do 2 vacations, okay?
Okay.
So we do a vacation to start the summer. We have, camp in between for all the kids, and then we have another kind of a vacation. We call it a vacation, but it's really everybody just coming to Las Vegas to hang out while Dad goes to training camp for a couple of days. But
nice.
We went to New York on the first trip and didn't plan it, but we stumbled onto the New York Knicks parade and had a ball. So you know what? I know I gotta go, Q, but this is what I meant to text you this.
Okay.
Being at the New York Knicks parade. It was on a Thursday, and the first thing I thought about is, man, I cannot wait for Raider Nation to have a parade.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wanted the Raiders. I said the Raiders need to have a parade because my kids didn't really understand it. They didn't really realize what was going on. It was just they don't understand 53 years for the Knicks, and I'm like, the Raiders are right there, close enough. I mean, they hadn't won a Super Bowl since I was 2, 84. So we right in that mix. So Q, I had a plan and everything. The Raider Nation, we got to win a Super Bowl so we can have the actual parade on a Saturday.
Let's do it.
Not during the week.
Right.
Have it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So that the Raider Nation from Los Angeles, from Oakland, from Las Vegas, and around the world can descend onto Las Vegas for the parade. It's not just a parade for the city of Las Vegas. It's a Raider Nation parade. You can't put that together in a couple of days. You got to put that together in a week so everybody comes out, and we call it Parade Weekend in Las Vegas. That's what I do late at night thinking about Super Bowls too much, Q.
Hey, man, look. Hey, sign me up. I'm there, man. I'm there with you. Sign me up.
Raider Parade Weekend. Raider Nation Parade Weekend after a championship. That's what I'm doing, man. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm pulling for this year.
Boom. There it is right there. Kirk, fantastic stuff, man. Thanks so much. We appreciate you, brother.
Man, good to catch up with you, Q. All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Kirk Morrison right there. I like that. Have a whole weekend for a parade, right? I know nobody in Raider Nation would be opposed to that. I love that. Great stuff, great feedback, great breakdown from Kirk Morrison right there. Raiders broadcast, Tackle for Loss TV, obviously longtime Raider and NFL linebacker. That's the way to get the ball rolling here on Raider Nation Radio 920, 702-365-9200. Want to hear from you. Hit us on the text line. Can Ashton Jeanty become a top 10 running back in year 1 under head coach Klint Kubiak? What would need to happen for him to get us there? Get him there. Let us know your thoughts on that. And coming up, we got hour number 2 of the show. It's Raider Nation Radio 920.
Money man there, able to steer it to Adams. Flicks it along Tillman. He's got Balogun making a run off him. Can he get around to that ball? To the deflection. Balogun scores. Flo Balogun, first to react to the deflection. He'll do the LeBron celebration. It's 1-0 U.S. Tillman. It's in. Malik Tillman. 2-0 United States.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
And that was a couple goals right there by the U.S. men's soccer team that, well, all they needed as they defeated Bosnia and now have moved on to the round of 16, the biggest match in U.S. men's soccer history. It's coming up later on in a couple hours, as a matter of fact. And Balogun, who made the first goal that you heard there, he is back. He had the red card. He wasn't going to be able to play, and all of a sudden, boom, his red card has not been taken away, but has been suspended. So obviously that has been a lot of controversy, a lot of conversation about that. But he will be in action coming up later on this afternoon. We'll deep dive all things into the World Cup with my guy Emmett Golden from ESPN Cleveland, ESPN Radio, coming up in about 30 minutes from now here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Unnecessary Roughness. We've been throwing out the question there about Ashton Jeanty as our guy Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. He has his top 10 rankings. He has them for multiple different positions. It actually just released today for the first position group, and it was the running backs. And so Ashton Jeanty, as you can imagine, was on the outside looking in from the season that he had, but that's okay. That was then. This is now the question I throw out there. Can Ashton Jeanty become a top 10 running back in year one under head coach Klint Kubiak? What needs to happen to get him there? We'd love to hear from you at 702-365-9200. We are expecting to have a few ladies from Twin Peaks in studio with Ari, and so all his concentration will definitely be out the window. But until they get there, we do want to hear from you. So let's go out to the phone line, talk to our guy, Raider Mike. Raider Mike, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Q, I missed you, man. Been too long.
David, I miss being here, man. It's good to be back.
Aloha, bro. Did you go to Hawaii?
I absolutely did. You already know. You already know. Yes, sir.
You know what a Howie is? Or
Who?
Shaka bra? A Howie.
No.
It's a term that Hawaiians use for us when we're visiting.
Oh, okay.
You're a Howie.
Okay.
And then
they call me a brother. When they see me, they call me a brother.
Well, then you're on Shaka Brada.
There you go.
You're there.
There you go.
They got you now. You're in. You're in,
yeah.
bro.
Oh, for sure.
Anyway, big time. I love Hawaii. It's such a cool place. Such cool people.
Yep.
Before I get to the Ashton question, I've been running around Asheville all week because we had the week off because of the 4th of July with hooligans from Australia and England. And they both, the Aussies know who me and you are.
Nice.
They listen to your show. It's
nice.
And none of them was called Cam.
I'm about to say that's because of Cam.
Like,
Cam advertised for me, man.
I think he did. He did. Anyway, they love your show. They love when I come on and just be Raider Mike. So anyway, Australia loves us. So anyway, thought I'd give you out there.
Nice.
USA tonight, before we get to Ashton. Balogun being back that was the worst call I've ever seen. And I've been watching World Cup for 40 years. That was horrifying. That was no intent. There was no nothing. And suspending his red card, it shouldn't have been a red card in the first place.
Right.
It's like, and then Belgium protesting how hard they are. Are they that afraid of us? We have not been this good. So, yeah, they are that afraid of us. And at halftime, I will be singing Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, at the place I always, my home bar. So anyway, let's go, U.S. This has been a fun World Cup. Running around with hooligans from Australia and England. And England looks so strong. It's like, are they going to beat us on our 250th anniversary? That would be weird and wild, too. So, anyway, Ashton, I think he's going to be top 5 running back, not top 10. I think he's a badass.
Yes.
I mean, I've watched him since He just had no line last year. He's going to have a really good line this year. Colton's healthy. Jackson, I think they figured out where to put him and just quit messing with him. Let him do what he does. He's a dominating offensive lineman when you just let him do that instead of playing with his head all day. So anyway, I'm pumped for the season. I'm not going to make any predictions yet. I know we're going to be good. I don't know if we're going to be on the playoffs or not. We're going to be close. We're going to be close. We're going to give the Muppet King a problem, for sure. Kelsey's now married, so I don't think his head's in the game anymore. He wants to be on a yacht out in the Caribbean for the rest of his life with his – Taylor is hot. I hate her music, but she's hot. Anyway, Q, I missed you. Had to get these points off my chest. Love the show as always. I'll call when I can. You know I'm 30 miles from range. I'm just in Asheville now. I'm not way out in the boonies in Appalachia with the hillbillies. So anyway, Raiders! I'm out, bro. Love you. Peace.
There he goes, Raider Mike. And, the point about Ashton and what he didn't have last year, I think Kirk Morrison brought up a great point in the last hour when he was on the show. And if you missed any of the show, you can go back to lvsportsnetwork.com and check out the podcast version. He brought up the fact that Brock Bowers injured week 1 against New England. It took that threat away. Opposing teams didn't fear Brock Bowers, even when he was in there. And we know how good Brock is. Again, number one tight end in the league when healthy, as far as I'm concerned. I think when the rankings from Jeremy Fowler come out, he'll be somewhere in the top 5 just because, well, 1, he's a Raider, and 2, he was injured last year. So they'll say, oh, well, he's got to do it again. So I think he'll be down a little bit. But I agree with Kirk that he's the number 1 tight end in the league. And when he doesn't have that element where they're that concerned about him like they were like his rookie year, that also played a major role in Ashton not being able to get off like he was able to. And they say, okay, who's the biggest threat offensively? Not named Brock Bowers. Okay, it's Ashton Jeanty. Let's go ahead and slow him down. I thought Kirk brought up a great point that we don't really talk about very often here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Raider Mike, thanks so much for the call. From Raider Mike to Raider Dave, welcome to the show. What's on your mind, my man?
Hey there, welcome back. I think that Fowler was right on, and you got to combine that with Miller being hurt, and then Jackson being hurt, and then the shuffling of the offensive line. Of course, it was going to be a problem. It was an easy one. Elementary school football knew where to attack on that. And if you're going to bring up a question of will he make the elite, one, I think you got to name what is elite. Is it top 5? Is it top 10? You don't really know. And 2, is it elite because he's got the most yardage after contact? That means he got to work harder than anybody else. I mean, you look at McCaffrey and what he did all-purpose yards. Can Jeanty be anywhere near that? Well, I think if he does 1,400 yards rushing and 500 yards passing, of course he will. But as far as any of this still working, whether it's the run game or him out of the backfield, and whichever quarterback the Raiders have to go ahead and find him as an underneath receiver, you got to understand how the tight end room has to play in order to help the run game, in order to help the passing game. I think that is the card that really plays in the middle of all this with this offense coming up and the coaching staff that's there, is the synergy between that tight end group and the offensive line and the tight end group and the run game, the running backs. And I think that's really where the butter is going to be, the bread's going to be buttered on that, because if all that works out with that tight end group, then the amount of different plays they can go from 11, 12, 13 personnel is just astronomical. I mean, the playbook gets really wide as far as doing all that, because if they do everything right in the run game, all of a sudden you got 8, 9 in the box, and then it's easy to burn them over the top with 4.3 speed. So I really think he can do it. I think you're right. He can be elite. If the lead is top 10. Top 5, I don't know. You look at some of these other running backs, they don't have a number 1 tight end on their team. Right. So, I mean, Briscoe maybe, yeah. But as far as, Caffrey's all-purpose yards, he's probably a lot more pass catching for being an elite running back than, say, Derrick Henry or some of these other guys. But it's going to be exciting, no doubt. I think it's a great question. Thank you.
Hey, man, it's a great answer. That was a fantastic answer. That was exactly what I was looking for, just to see, again, how he could become a top 10 back. And it's not, to your point, that was, again, fantastic answer right there from Raider Dave. It's not necessarily always yards, but how does he really make the engine go that is the Raiders offense? How big of a factor is he in that offense? Like you mentioned, C-Mac, and obviously he's the gold standard, right? He went over 1,200 yards rushing and almost had 1,000 yards receiving for the 49ers last year. I mean, that's how incredible C-Mac was. And I don't think that those are going to be the numbers that Ashton Jeanty puts up, but he can have an effect similar to Christian McCaffrey where he is that much of a weapon. And to your point, right, an elite tight end and the synergy between them, I thought that was an excellent answer. That was really the answer that I was looking for when I asked the question, can Ashton Jeanty become a top 10 running back, in year one under head coach Klint Kubiak, and what would need to happen for him to get there? I like the way that Raider Dave answered that. I thought that was a fantastic response. Thanks so much for that. Do appreciate you. Let's go out to the phone lines and talk to our guy, Cam. Whoa, Cam. Cam in Australia. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind, my man?
Dude, how are you, my brother? How was your holiday, mate, more importantly?
Oh, man, fantastic, man. Vacation was great. The holiday was great. Everything was great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, mate. I'm just saving my hard-earned so I can get there for our big Seattle game. Wait. So that's great news you had a holiday, mate. That is awesome. Now,
Yes.
As far as soccer hooligans go, Mike, we don't have any. We can't even play soccer, mate. I can't even believe we made the final. We even got to the World Cup. There's only 27 million of us, and it's the fourth played sport in the country. So I think we're doing okay. So I don't think we've got any hooligans. There's no point having a hooligan about something that you're not even interested in. But I really do hope the Poms play you Seppos, because then us Aussies will be sitting in the middle going, and we'll have no idea who to go for. Well, I'll be going for the Seppos, of course. You know what a Seppo is? You know why Australians call Americans Seppos?
Not at all.
Thanks, mate. A yank.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Nice. Okay. I'm learning. Hey, man, I learn something every day, man.
Always. Now, talking about Mr. Jeanty, I actually think we're going to have a blinder of a year, and I think he's going to do exceptionally well. But I think the undercard is Mr. Washington. Between the two of them, I think we're going to have a great run game. I really do think, just from what I can see from the coaches, what's been going on, there is a synergy starting to happen between everyone, whereas, like you said just before, last year, nothing. They were so far opposed from each other, it wasn't funny, mate. Mm-hmm. So I think that Jeanty's going to have a blinder of a year, and I actually think we're going to do all right. I'm with Raider Mike. I think we might push playoffs. I can't see us getting there, but I think we're going to upset a few teams that are going to be surprised by how good we are.
I like it. That's all you could ask for, right? Don't have an easy out. Don't be that get-right game, and make sure every game is super competitive, and you'll probably win a couple that people don't expect you're going to win.
Absolutely, mate. Couldn't agree with you more.
There it is. Great stuff, man. It's always great to hear from you, Cam. Definitely appreciate the call.
No worries. Thanks, Q. Have a great day, mate. You're a ripper.
All right, you too. There he is, our guy Cam. Woo, Cam in Australia. Definitely appreciate the call, my man. Really good stuff, man. Really good calls from Raider Mike, Raider Dave, and obviously Cam in Australia. And, he's saying that Mike Washington's going to be a key factor. And I do think that he's obviously going to get a few carries here and there, but Ashton Jeanty is going to be the engine that makes things go, right? It's going to be, and I think Amber Thea Harris joined the show when she said it's going to be the Brock and Ashton show, right? And it's expected to be the Brock and Ashton show, and if one is cooking, that's going to open up the other one. And I believe, and this is just me, that it always starts with the run game. I believe the run game is going to be the key to everything, right? If you can get that run game established, if you can get cooking, everyone else gets opened up. And as long as Brock stays healthy, like Kirk said, the Chiefs don't have a number one wide receiver. I honestly didn't think that Travis Kelce was the number one wide receiver. I know he was the number one target. I didn't think he was the number one wide receiver for the Chiefs last year. But when you go and look at it, he was, and it wasn't even close. And to Kirk's point, he's been that number one guy for years, ever since Tyreek Hill's been gone. right? Tyreek Hill was the big playmaker for that team. Then they traded him off, and ever since then, nobody could tell you who their number one wide receiver's been. I mean, they've gone through so many different wide receivers, and they've been fine. They've been getting it done, but, like they said, the Raiders have to go out and get their number one wide receiver. I mean, if you look at who they have now, they got Travis Kelce, obviously, is the number one target. Then they had Hollywood Brown. Okay. Rashee Rice. Okay. Right? You know that he's trouble waiting to happen. He's always into something. Xavier Worthy, right? He's fast, but, I mean, you're talking about a guy that had 42 catches last year. Rashee Rice, 53. Hollywood Brown, 49. Tyquan Thornton, 19. Juju Smith-Schuster, 33. Like, none of those are screaming number one wide receiver, right? None of those. And if you think about it, you start to look at the Raiders and their wide receivers that they have on the roster, I can say that they'll easily get those type numbers. I mean, hell, we talk about Jack Best, and we didn't learn anything from him. Year one, he had 20 catches, right? I mean, he had 20 catches. Not saying that that's something to write home about, and that's fantastic, but it's better than what Tyquan Thornton did for the Chiefs last year. He only had 19. So, that was a great point that Kirk brought up when he joined the show. Definitely appreciate him. Like I said, Emmett Golden is going to join us coming up at 3:30. We'll turn our attention to the World Cup. But let's go out to the phone lines. Let's go out to Oregon. Talk to our guy, Charles. Charles in charge. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Q, what's going on, man? Good to have you back. You are bringing the fire today, brother.
I'm refreshed. I'm ready to go, man. I'm full throttle. Let's go. It's good to be back.
I hear it in you. So I'm going to get right to it, bro. So, okay. So the things that I see that I think would be really important, I think they need to establish who the 5 men on the offensive line are going to be early.
Yep.
They got to get them working as a unit. That's going to be huge for the whole team, for everything to function on that offense. You've got to make sure we got our 5, and then they got to start working and having some synchronicity between them, because if you don't have that, then he's going to get hit a lot again. It's going to be the same thing. The other thing, everybody always says you got to, use the run to set up the pass, right? Well, you could use the pass to set up the run. This group of receivers has got, Brock's going to do his job. Hopefully Michael Mayer's brought into it. But Thornton, Besh, and most importantly, JSN2, the sequel, Jalen Speedy Naylor. He's got to make sure that he takes that X spot and that X receiver, and that they're running, Kubiak's going to use those routes like Kirk Morrison mentioned earlier, where it's going to be, you're going to have that opportunity to go, crossing routes over the top. You're going to have those opportunities, but the receivers got to start making plays. That's going to be huge. Otherwise, what are they going to do? They're going to load up on the line, and Jeanty's going to get hit a lot. So 2 things, I think: establish the offensive lineman early, and then number 2, get those receivers going, running cross routes and producing opportunities for Jeanty to get the ball as well. So those are my things. Great to have you back. Aloha. So excited to hear the show's back on, man. God bless you and Ari. Have a great day.
You have a great day as well, Charles. Thanks so much for the call. Like I said, man, I definitely appreciate being back. It was exciting to be on vacation. It was much needed. Trust and believe that. But, definitely happy to be back and ready to be in the mix. And as we said, get ready to go to training camp and see what this team could do and how it's all put together. And, like I said, just get excited and fired up about this upcoming season of Raider football, because I do think it's going to be one that we're going to be pretty excited about. I don't know what that means when it comes to wins and losses, but I do feel, as I was texting before I went on vacation with a couple folks in the Raiders building on the communications side, and I said, man, look, this to me feels like it's going to be a really fun, exciting season. I think that, we're in store for a lot, and I know that the Raiders – on their communication side of things, Silver and Black Productions, everything that they put out on the .com, I know that they're planning a really big year as well, and we'll be a small part of that as well. And so, yeah, it's set up to be fun. It really is. Obviously, a NFL season is a grind, right? 17 games, 18 weeks, right? You got to deal with all kind of adversity. You got to try to overcome adversity. But I do believe that the Raiders press the right buttons, man. We're going to be in for a fun season, a lot of fun conversations that we'll have here on RaiderNation Radio 920. And, I'm glad you brought up the point that Kirk made about, like, the check downs and, picking up the under-available receptions, right? The UARs that he pointed out to us, right? The underneath stuff. Because again, if like he said, when he saw it happen in real time, he said, "Hey, I'll give up that 5-yard little dump off. I'll give that up and I'll go up and make the tackle." But then a guy breaks a little bit of tackle and picks up 7 yards, gets a first down. Okay, so next time he sees it, he wants to come crashing down to stop that, but then boom. There's a guy that they hit him wide open. Larry Fitzgerald, he mentioned, was right behind him. That space that he vacated opened up. And to me, while Kirk was describing that, and that's why I always love to have him on the show, because I don't do a lot of talking. I just listen. And that's what I want to do, is I want to listen and learn more and try to get into the head of someone that's been there, done that, been on the field, and what's going through their head. So when all of a sudden he crashes up because he's going to stop what he just saw and identified earlier, and he's not going to let that happen again, boom, all of a sudden that's when the decision is made to, okay, that's not going to be a dump off. We're going to go in behind him in that space that he just vacated. That's going to be a 13-yard gain and a first down. I think that Klint Kubiak is the kind of guy that's going to have those kind of plays in his playbook, because we saw it. It's not me just pulling something out my backside, throwing it against the wall and hoping it sticks. It's something that we saw. We can go back and look at all of what Seattle did last year, and there was a lot of those decisions. There was a lot of lining their guys up in multiple locations as well, where it wasn't just a traditional JSN on the outside or JSN in the slot. Hell, we saw JSN lined up in the backfield. We saw them playing like a Where's Waldo type situation with him. And if the Raiders are able to do that with Brock Bowers, and I think when you talk about, the linebacker crashing up to try to stop the underneath stuff, like Ashton Jeanty gets a couple catches underneath. It's like the linebacker says, all right, that ain't going to happen again. He crashes up. Boom. Big Mike is open right there up the seam. And we've all been waiting for Big Mike to break out, right, and be that guy. For one reason or the other, it hasn't happened, but I can see that happening for sure. So it's just something to think about and ways that this offense could come together and this team could be as competitive as we all want them to be. It always goes back, though, to the offensive line. Right? It always goes back to the offensive line. It's got to be not only put together, but they've also got to be able to go out there and execute correctly. So when Charles says, I hope that they identify their top, their 5 for the offensive line as quickly as possible, I agree. I echo those words. The quicker that they can come up with their 5, the quicker that they get comfortable with those guys and they get comfortable with each other, and they're able to go out there and execute that offensive blocking scheme, that's just going to make everyone that much better when it's all said and done. And the thing about it is, for the offensive line, it's so difficult because you really don't – I mean, you're practicing and you're going out there and you're during practice you're blocking to an area, but you can't put that physicality on anyone until the pads are on. And we all know there's a limited amount of padded practices. We all know there's a limited amount of practices before the first preseason game. It's only 11. Right? I mean, they'll be out there, practicing in the preseason game before we know it. So that's the only thing that's unfortunate for the offensive line, is that they're not in pads all the time, so they could really master that offensive line. But look, that's the same for everybody. So you got to work with what you got to work with. So I mean, it's not like it's exclusive that the Raiders don't get more padded practices. That's just how it is. You got to get these guys to the starting gates and get them to the regular season. So, we'll see how quickly they can come together, but that's going to be a big key as far as I'm concerned. But keep that feedback coming on the text line at 702-365-9200. Could Ashton Jeanty become a top 10 running back in year 1 under head coach Klint Kubiak? And most importantly, what would need to happen for him to get there? Let us know on the text line. Ari's got some winning for you. We got Emmett Golden on the way.
I sure do. And I'm not going to do my Martin impersonation, so I'll leave it at that. But I have a pair of tickets to see Martin. There you go. I knew you'd help me out there. A pair of tickets to see Martin Lawrence, the great Martin Lawrence, at the Resorts World. It is July 11th at the Resorts World Theater, I should say. Tickets are available at AXS. Or right now with me, I got a pair of tickets for you. Caller 9-702-365-9200. Go see Martin.
Boom. Martin Lawrence here in Las Vegas. Exactly. What's up? Right? Who didn't want to be a DJ because of Martin Lawrence? So hopefully we're able to get him on the show sometime this week. That'll be a fun conversation. But we're trying to send you to the show right now. Send your text, or send your call in, I should say, to Ari. He's standing by. Call number 9-702-365-9200. Emmett Golden, ESPN Cleveland, ESPN Radio, joins us next. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
England have it again with Anthony Gordon. I think 5 or 10 minutes on the cards here for Mexico. It's played on to Harry Kane, who crosses and Bellingham's there again. And England lead 2-0. And in the blink of an eye, the game's getting away from Mexico.
Right now, we're doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
Fantastic match right there. England and Mexico last night. England gets the victory. They move on. Mexico had their whole stadium packed to the gills with Mexico supporters and fans and the whole country behind them. And England went into that bad boy and got that dub earlier in the night. We saw Norway get the victory over Brazil. World Cup action. I feel like I'm a big soccer head. I'm not. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not a huge soccer head, but I have been locked in on the World Cup. It's Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. I know who is a big soccer head. That's my guy, Emmett Golden from ESPN Cleveland and ESPN Radio, my tag team partner. And, Emmett, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you. You know I'm not big on soccer. I've been big on this World Cup because it's been fantastic. What has your thoughts been? You love soccer. What have you thought about the World Cup in general?
It's been awesome. My favorite thing is that people who wouldn't normally watch soccer are watching it, and they're realizing, like, hey, maybe they don't love it, but they're like, this is actually a really good sport. The drama is awesome. You don't have to score 9 goals in order for it to be a good game. So really just the exposure that you see has been the funnest thing for me. Some people, there'll be a lot of new soccer fans, and there'll be some that'll casually watch, and others won't care for another 4 years. But I just love the stage that it's been on.
It has been great. It really has. And I'm one of those guys that I'll casually tune in, and especially when you tell me, hey, this is a big one, you need to go pay attention to it, I'll go watch it. But I'm not someone who's going to deep dive and be a soccer head to say. But, man, when you talk about the passion and the pageantry, seeing little kids crying after matches, not that I want to see kids cry, but, I mean, it's just you can see how much it means to the countries and to the fans. Like, that's just next-level stuff, man. That passion is what really gets me by the way that this has played out so far.
Yeah, and, you know, America has their passionate fan bases as well, but it's a little different because over there, outside of cricket, it's really just football, you know. Like it's some other sports, and they have some basketball, whatever. But, you know, here, soon as one sport's over, we go on to the next. And then that's over, we go on to the next. Well, they're 24/7, 365. It's all about that one club. It's all about that one team. And the fact that that team, you know, could get kicked out of a league if it has a bad year, the passion is something else. And it's been cool for those people to come see our passion as well in the way that we do things and, you know, other than seeing it through a TV. So, man, it's been great.
No, it really has. Emmett Golden, ESPN Cleveland, ESPN Radio is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. So, obviously, the big news as the U.S. is going to be taking on Belgium coming up pretty soon in the biggest U.S. men's soccer match ever. They get Balogun back. And you know me, again, a casual. As soon as I saw Balogun get the red card, I was on vacation, and I had to text you. I was like, hey, does that mean he don't play in the next game? Well, now he's back. Just kind of explain to us what happened and how it all shook out.
Yeah, so typically you get a red card, you're automatically suspended for the next game. That's normally how it goes. So when Balogun, and again, it was an accident. It wasn't a malicious play, but guys get red cards for accidentally stepping on somebody's ankle and stuff. It happens. So I thought it was over. I didn't really remember any precedent that a red card would be reversed. Like I'm not familiar with an appeal system or anything like that in FIFA. But all I know is, I guess President Trump made a call to somebody, and next thing you know, they said, hey, we're going to go ahead and suspend the red card due to accidental contact and all that. And then Belgium, they're furious because now they got to face Flo Balogun, right? So they try to appeal, and FIFA tells them, you didn't have anything to do with this. You weren't part of the game, so you can't appeal. We're going to put it to the side. Look, FIFA has been known to be a little corrupt. I won't turn a blind eye to that, but it looks like it might have worked out in America's favor this time.
So when you look at this match coming up, USA and Belgium, where do you place the chances of the USA to be able to advance now that they're on to the round of 16 already?
Yeah, I got this one as a coin flip. Belgium, I believe they're ranked ninth in the world, and they got some tremendous players on their team, but their best players are a little long in the tooth. They're in the twilight. So, this is the end of Belgium's World Cup window, so to speak. So they're still good, and they still have a lot of quality. They're just a little bit older. In the U.S., with the way they've been playing, man, they've been so creative and tenacious, in a word, and just seeing the way that they've been playing. They have a great chance tonight. Now, if they win tonight, they see Spain, and hey, it's been real. It's been a good time, but I definitely think the U.S. can win tonight, but I don't know if either of these teams are going to be able to get past Spain in the next round.
So when you look at some of the other matches in the other countries that are competing, like England, I mentioned up top that they got the victory last night over Mexico, and obviously that was dramatic. What are the chances that you give England of really making a deep run here?
I give them a great chance. I really do. Look, Spain and France they're the two best teams in the world. There's really no questioning that. But you have England, who on the back of Harry Kane and all the talent that they have, there's really no reason that they can't win the World Cup. And they're going to go toe-to-toe with all of those guys. Norway is the sneaky, country. They have one of the best goal scorers in the world, Erling Haaland. And so does really every team I mentioned has like one of the best sports in the world. It's just a criteria when you get up, to that point. But, once when America is eliminated, I'll be pulling for England because a lot of guys I watch in the Premier League on that team.
So you're telling me that you're not sitting at the house and you're not banging the drum and you're not doing the Norwegian row like the rest of the country is? I mean, what has the Scandinavians?
I was tempted. I was in my living room like, is my wife around? I don't want her to see me looking crazy. I was tempted for sure.
Well, they have caught everyone's attention, right? They're kind of that country and those folks that you're paying attention to, like, wow, this is a lot of fun. And you mentioned Erling Haaland. He was fantastic as well. Just for him, he said after the match last night, we don't have any pressure. We're not supposed to be here. No one, everyone's surprised that we're here. How far can they go?
As far as he can take them, he really has that type of class. He's the number 9 for Manchester City. And, our Man City has been amazing. They're almost every year they win. They're always deep in the Champions League. And he's the guy that leads that attack. He is just flat out, that good. And they have size, really good defensively in the midfield. So they got a great shot. The problem is when you go to Spain, especially France more than anybody, they just have waves of guys. There are guys that sit on the bench that probably could be starting for any of these other countries. Out there, France is just so deep. So whatever you do, they'll be able to tactically counter it because they're just so deep. So that's what sets them apart from everybody. And then, Spain with the young boy out there, it's been awesome. And now there will be no bad matches. From this point on, you will not see a bad match. And that was evidenced yesterday.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Yesterday was fantastic. Again, Emmett Golden is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. So for the U.S. to win, obviously they get Balogun back. That's big. Pulisic is there. He's the guy that everyone told me was the best player on the squad before everything started. What do they have to do tonight? What's going to happen for the U.S. to advance?
Well, Balogun, I don't want to put too much added pressure on him, but you got to score, dog. You went ahead. They did all this for you. You're going to have to score. So if he can get Team USA, on the board with a goal early, and then Pulisic just has to keep putting pressure, that pressure on that Belgium defense. I really want to see Weston McKennie be a little more. He's actually been really, really good, but I think he's better than what we've seen. So if he can step up tonight, I really, really like the U.S. chances of getting the victory. And by the way, Seattle is going to be crazy. It's a loud place when the, Seahawks play, right. But with everybody out there rooting for America, that's going to be one hell of a home field advantage for the men's national team tonight.
How much has it helped, if any, and excuse my ignorance if this is something that always happens, but to me, with everything being, well, not everything, but most of it being right here in the U.S., we get a lot of normal times. Like, I'm not waking up at 2 a.m. to have to watch it. I'm starting to see, we'll see something at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's prime time for me, right. So I get to tune in. How much is that helping the eyeballs on the World Cup this time around?
Oh, a lot. You know, I watched the Premier League, and they're played most of the time Sunday and Saturday mornings. You know, right. So if you just not so happen to be watching, you know, NBC Sports or something, you're not gonna catch it because we just don't watch sports at those times. But with it being in prime time in the afternoons and late at night, and really being able to complement all the time zones because there are matches that are going on out there on the West Coast as well, that's been huge because people are just a creature of habits. We know that. And with this being able to be on primetime TV and right there, you know, right after dinner and everything, I think it's been huge for the growth. And I think you will see a bump of popularity in America due to this World Cup.
Emmett Golden, ESPN Cleveland, ESPN Radio with us here, RaiderNation Radio 920. Well, Emmett, I couldn't let you get out of here. I said ESPN Cleveland. I know one of the big conversations going on there right now is LeBron James and the possible return to Cleveland and the Cleveland Cavaliers. What is the conversation like? How are you feeling about a potential third return for King James?
It's funny. I don't see a lot of people being nervous about this. I think everybody feels like it just makes sense for him, you know, to come home. The Cavaliers are a really good team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And, again, left a lot to be desired once they got there, but they were one of the last 4 teams left in the NBA, so they're good enough to do it, you know, get that far without him. He comes there, then I think they're a championship contender. So everybody's pretty calm, and I won't say like it's a slam dunk, but I think everybody just feels like if he really wants to do something historic, he'll come back home. And if not, hey, it's all good. Again, he got a title with the Cavs in 2016. He's cool in Cleveland. Yeah, ain't nobody mad at him, and I'm sorry for bringing it up. It's the only one we got. But, yeah, man, if he does come back, I think Cleveland will be right back on fire again and, you know, like he never left.
If he doesn't end up in Cleveland and you had to place some money on where you thought he was going to be, where would you think he's going to be?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't know. I feel like the 76ers out of the blue. You know, I know because everybody had them, or it's the Warriors, Cavs, or it's the Heat. I feel like, you know, after putting that move down for Jaylen Brown, that he might have some interest there. But I feel like it's Cleveland and then everybody else. So it's really kind of a coin flip after that. But I can see in a different world where he would go to Philly and kind of finish it out and trying to win a title for another squad.
I'll tell you, I have to admit to you that I made a 10 push-up, on-demand push-up bet with Mama Q on where his next location is going to be. And I said Cleveland. She said the Golden State Warriors. So there you go.
Okay, awesome. I'll let Mama Q know I'm going to hold you true to that.
I know that's right. Well, hey, man, fantastic stuff as always. Not going to be with you tonight on the airways, but I know we'll be back on ESPN Radio soon enough, man. I always appreciate you, brother.
Hey, no doubt. Take it easy, man.
All right, will do. You too. Emmett Golden right there, ESPN Cleveland, ESPN Radio. And, yeah, me and Mama Q had the bet on where LeBron's going to end up. I say he's going back to Cleveland. I've been very adamant that he's going to go back to Cleveland, and well before he ever told the Lakers he wasn't returning. I just thought that's made all the sense in the world, especially when he got all teary-eyed when they had that last video for him and started talking about his mom. Got to see him and his son play, and you know, it just made all the sense in the world. Now they're saying that he's going to have a documentary filming next year, so it just makes sense. You see him partying in the club in Cleveland. He's making a tour around Cleveland, and this is the best 51 fake out we've ever seen. I think it's no doubt about it. He returns to Cleveland, but we'll find out. We'll find out sooner rather than later. We got Jeremy Fowler from ESPN coming up at 4 o'clock. Talk about his rankings, his top 10 series that he's got going on. Today was the first day where he released the running backs, the top 10 running backs. And this is not just based off of yards and touchdowns. It's him talking to execs, coaches, scouts, ranking the top NFL running backs for 2026. And that's how we came up on the topic of Ashton Jeanty and how he could be top 10 coming up in 2026. So we throw it out there to you at 702-365-9200. In your opinion, can Jeanty become a top 10 running back in year one under head coach Klint Kubiak? And more importantly, what needs to happen for him to get there? We hear from you next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
Doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke. Doing car care right.
This is Ashton Jeanty of the Las Vegas Raiders, and you're listening to Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio.
Now back to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right.
Just a few minutes left in hour number 2 of the show. It is Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. We got Jeremy Fowler from ESPN coming up at the top of the hour. Look forward to that conversation. We'll scattershoot all things NFL, but more importantly, we'll deep dive into his top 10 rankings that he does. He has the rankings. He does it every single year. The 7th annual Top 10 series, where he talks about running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, coaches, all kind of different positions are talked about. And it's not just, hey, I'm going to sit in my basement and come up with these top 10 players or top 10 coaches or whatever the case may be. This is from talking to executives, coaches, scouts. They all rank the top 10. And today it was running backs, and that led me to the conversation about Ashton Jeanty and can he become a top 10 running back in year one under head coach Klint Kubiak. What would need to happen to get him there? And as you can imagine, he wasn't top 10 on this year's list, and that was, well, because the season just wasn't that great. Top 10 from 10 to 1. Breece Hall of the Jets, Kenneth Walker of the Chiefs, Devon Achane of the Dolphins, James Cook of the Bills, Derrick Henry of the Ravens, Jonathan Taylor of the Colts, Christian McCaffrey of the Niners, Saquon Barkley of the Eagles, Jahmyr Gibbs of the Lions, and Bijan Robinson of the Falcons came in at number 1. So there's many different factors that play into it, and I'll let Jeremy explain it more when he joins the show at the top of the hour. But that's why I threw the question out there. How big of a factor can Ashton Jeanty be? Because it's not necessarily just yards. Right, you can look at the top 10 in yards and say, oh, well, Ashton Jeanty was number 18 last year. He should be able to be in our top 10 this year with a better offensive line and a better offensive game plan, which I would agree with that. But does that necessarily mean he's going to be a top 10 back in the eyes of the ones that matters when it comes to execs and scouts and coaches? How big of a factor? You can get a lot of yards. We've seen this before, right? We've seen players get a lot of yards that don't really mean anything. How much did he contribute to the success of the team? How much was he the engine that made the team go? Like, for example, Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco, where he came in number 4 on this top 10 list, but we know he almost had 2,000 yards between his rushing game. Actually, he had over 2,000 yards, I should say. His, last year with San Francisco, had over 1,000 yards, over 1,200 yards on the ground, and almost 1,000 yards through the air. So, I mean, he had plenty of yards, right? And so it's not necessarily just about the yardage. It's about really what you mean to that team. And I think we could all agree that Christian McCaffrey meant just about everything. I mean, 1,202 yards on the ground, 924 to be exact through the air for C-Mac. So that's a ton of yards right there for the running back from the 49ers. But I think we could all agree when he's on and he's cooking, that team is on. And it's cooking. So we threw that question out there. We'd love to hear from you at 702-365-9200. Like I said, we'll have a breakdown from Jeremy Fowler coming up at the top of the hour. Quinshon Judkins, who plays for the Browns, and we just talked to our guy, Emmett Golden from ESPN Cleveland. He was honorable mention, just kind of on the outside looking in. He as a rookie, he played well. Didn't play as many games as Ashton, missed a couple games, but he showed signs, and a lot of execs are real high on what Quinshon Judkins can be. So, going to ask Jeremy, what is it going to take, in his opinion, this year one, with Klint Kubiak for Ashton Jeanty to be that guy to crack the top 10, or, just be on the outside looking in like an honorable mention was from, for Quinshon Judkins. And it's funny looking at Jeremy's, breakdown. He said, from the running back file, the biggest riser was Jonathan Taylor, biggest snub, Kyron Williams, most underrated, James Cook, biggest tumble, Josh Jacobs, and then poised for a biggest year 2 jump, Quinshon Judkins. So, again, we throw the question out there to you at 702-365-9200. Big Zane hit us up and said, absolutely, an average offensive line play and health. 10 guys. There may be 10 guys you would point to have more productive 2026 based on their situation. There are absolutely not 10 guys you would draft ahead of Jeanty if you're just redrafting all the running back positions. So there you go. That's Zane's thoughts right there. Not mad at that. Our guy Vegas Pete said we'll go as far as the offensive line, especially our tackles, take us. We were okay inside. And I keep going back to the offensive line as well. But, there's a lot of factors. The offensive line is going to play a big factor. The quicker they can come together, the better. As long as Brock Bowers stays healthy, that's going to be a big factor as well. You're not going to be able to load up the box when you have a number 1 target in Brock Bowers, who we know very easily could be the number 1 tight end across the National Football League. He's going to be the number 1 target for the Raiders, no doubt about it. And if you're able to get a run game going, established, and you're able to hit Brock Bowers consistently, that's also going to open up the deep shot. to guys like Trey Tucker, to guys like Speedy Naylor, Dante Thornton Jr., guys that have speed. They're going to be able to open up the deep ball. But, again, it's all got to come together. And I think, my opinion, is it all goes back to the offensive line. The quicker that Rick Dennison could get those guys to come together and work together really well and identify the five guys on that offensive line, the better that this Raiders offense is going to be. Not just the running game, not just Brock Bowers, but the whole offense in general. So keep that feedback coming on the text line at 702-365-9200. The man that's the reason for the question today, Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. He joins us as we kick off hour number 3 of the show. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
Gino the snap, throws underneath. Jeanty at the 5, breaks a tackle. That's the third for Jeanty. He's into the end zone. The rookie with his third touchdown of the ball game. His second through the air. And the Raiders go back in front with 5:23 to go in the third, 20-16.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
We kick off hour number 3 of the show here in the Ashton Jeanty touchdown versus Chicago Bears. We've been talking about Ashton Jeanty throughout the course of the show because our next guest, Jeremy Fowler, has his 7th annual Top 10 series out right now. And today it rolled out. The running backs were featured Top 10. As you could imagine, Ashton Jeanty did not make the Top 10 based off the season that he had last year. 975 total yards on the ground, 346 yards through the air. Did have 10 total touchdowns and 1,321 scrimmage yards. But I believe when the Raiders drafted him number 6 overall, we all expected him to have a bigger season. But nothing went right for the Silver and Black in Ashton Jeanty's rookie year. So what is it going to take for him to crack that top 10 this season? That's what we've been talking about here on RaiderNation Radio 920. And Jeremy Fowler from ESPN does join us now on the show. And Jeremy, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate you. You know, this is always one of my favorite times of the year when you roll out these top 10 series. It's always great to hear how executives and scouts and coaches feel about the players across the league. How do you put this whole thing together? I mean, I know the people that you're talking to, but what are the elements? It's more than just yards and touchdowns. What all goes into putting this top 10 together?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So it's a pretty lengthy process. I really start by position, quarterback first, then running back. I do kind of the skill guys first and then just go through all 11 positions. But the way I do it is I reach out to, at least 100 executive scouts, coaches around the league, trying to just canvas as many as I can. I don't always hear back from all of them, but certainly the top positions that are the most exciting, like quarterback and running back, you get the most votes. And I basically ask them, here's a pool of 25 running backs or so. Give me your 1 through 10. And then I take all the ballots that I receive and I create a composite ranking. And we go from there. And a lot of times I have tiebreakers, so I'll have to make some phone calls or find ways to break the tie and things like that. So it's a fun process, but it takes a lot of time. It's about a couple months worth of work.
Well, I'll tell you what, you do a fantastic job with it. We've had a lot of fun today talking about the running back position. As you explained earlier today on SportsCenter, that Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs were neck and neck. They were 1 and 2, but they were really, really close. I mean, what did it come down to ultimately that had Bijan at number 1 and Jahmyr at number 2?
Yeah, it was really fascinating to me that you have two 24-year-olds who are entering their prime who really are equal in a lot of ways. I mean, a lot of voters were pretty split, 1 and 2 on those guys, or 2 and 1, or however they ranked them. At one point, I thought Jahmyr Gibbs would win because, if you like him, you watch him and you say, there's nobody like him with the ball in his hands. He's just different than anybody else on the field. That includes tight end, receiver, any skill position. He just looks different. He's faster. He's really never been the number 1 guy because of David Montgomery, or at least he's always been a 1A or 1B. Now he's clearly going to be the guy who gets the 300 carries a year and can kind of feel out a game and not be as much of a specialist. Where, Bijan's probably considered more of a complete back. The agility, the pass catching, his ability to break an 80-yard run when things aren't perfect or things aren't blocked up ideally with the offensive line. He can make it work and turn nothing into something. So that's really, I think, why he won. But they're both certainly there on merit.
How surprised were you that James Cook, who led the league in rushing last year, dropped all the way to number 7?
Yeah, he was probably the most underrated in the project, I would say, for running backs. He was 8 last year, I want to say, so moved up just 1 spot despite 1,600 rushing yards. He certainly deserved to be a little higher, but it was pretty close. A lot of times you have a log jam among 3 or 4 players. In those cases, running back, like 4 through 7 were all pretty close. Devon Achane could have been higher too. It's just kind of the way it shook out. Running back, you have a lot of the older guys that are holding up pretty well. Saquon, Derrick Henry, and Christian McCaffrey. Although McCaffrey's 30 years old now and probably on the backside, but those guys are all really productive. And then Jonathan Taylor had a massive year, jumped up 2 spots from 7 to 5. So it was just there wasn't a clear path for James Cook to move up, but he certainly was deserving.
Again, Jeremy Fowler from ESPN is with us here at Raider Nation Radio 920 talking about the top 10 running backs. And I'm glad you mentioned Christian McCaffrey. He's a guy that I've been talking about a lot. He came in at number 4 for the 49ers. We know how important he is to that the Kyle Shanahan, offense. What they need him to be able to be the straw that stirs the drink. How much do you think Ashton Jeanty could help be that guy for Klint Kubiak in the offense year one?
Well, certainly they need him to be a bell cow running back. I'm not going to equate him to Christian McCaffrey just yet, and they're probably different skill set type players. Ashton Jeanty is just that forceful, smaller but like kind of smaller in stature build, but packs a punch. Probably a mix between Maurice Jones-Drew in his prime and then somebody who's a little more shifty. He's kind of got all elements of that. Ashton Jeanty was not at all a factor. I think he got 1 vote, and it was sort of a limp to a 10th place. It just, for whatever reason, nobody saw him as that, where Quinshon Judkins with the Browns was much more of a factor and was close to the top 10. So I don't know if that's because it's a bad team or just didn't have the yards, but I just think people were pretty underwhelmed with the way he was running the ball, even though they admit that the line was so bad that there weren't a lot of holes to run through. So certainly the Raiders haven't wavered in their ability or what they believe in him. And Klint Kubiak, he's got a ready-made microwave-type running game. He's never really going to have a running game that gets buried or can't move the ball. At the very least, they're going to be sustainable. The offensive line does look improved, especially with Tyler Linderbaum there, can get everybody organized, communicate well, and get them in the right running plays.
Will it be for Ashton Jeanty, will it just be a factor of running, obviously getting as many yards as possible, maybe up there around 1,200, and then also the passing game? How much of a factor is the passing game going to be when it comes to this as well?
Well, it's a factor for all these guys, but certainly some are better at it than others. And I think for Jeanty, the key will just be getting first downs, getting positive yardage, not running into walls where you're getting 0, 1, or 2 yards. That's really the main thing. Mm-hmm. We know he can catch the ball as well, but I don't think they're expecting him to be an 800-yard receiver, Right. It's more about just controlling the line of scrimmage and being able to get 4 or 5 yards a pop and being able to just kind of sustain drives will be the primary thing for him.
Jeremy Fowler from ESPN is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. I was talking earlier with Kirk Morrison, and he said that once Brock Bowers got injured week 1, he thought that just killed the offense and just really made all the defenses focus in on Ashton as well. How much of a factor do you think a healthy Brock Bowers will be for Ashton Jeanty and this Klint Kubiak offense?
Yeah, it was not only Brock Bowers, but it was just the limited options outside of Bowers, so when you lose him, it only exacerbated the problem. But you had Jacoby Myers is certainly a capable receiver, but he gets moved at the deadline. So you're looking at Trey Tucker as your number 1. So when Bowers goes out, it's just tough. There weren't a lot of options to keep the team honest. It was interesting because they hired Pete Carroll, who really isn't a rebuild type coach. At his age, he wanted to win now, but the roster clearly wasn't there yet. So the whole thing, from not only the personnel to just the vision, wasn't in sync, and I think the playmakers and the running back in particular suffered.
Jeremy Fowler is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. I heard you a few days ago on ESPN on SportsCenter talk about the plan that the Raiders have for their quarterback room and the fact that the plan looks like it's Kirk Cousins, but that could obviously change if Fernando Mendoza comes out and plays really well in the preseason and training camp. How critical or how important is that going to be for the Raiders that they at least have options?
Yeah, it's huge. It's a situation where I like how they're handling it, to be honest. We've seen young quarterbacks, whether they're ready or not, just given the job in the spring. It's interesting, though. It can go a lot of ways. You give them the job in the spring, and then they're not ready, or you try to create a competition, and they're not getting enough reps in camp, which I think was the case with Trevor Lawrence back in Jacksonville 5 years ago, when you knew he was going to be the guy, and they kind of dangled that job a little bit. So I don't know if any way to do it is perfect, but the fact you have a guy like Kirk Cousins that you know as a baseline can perform, move the ball with that offense, and you can get off to a good start with them, it just gives them some leeway. And I do feel like the Raiders, some people there are relieved that they don't have to rush Fernando Mendoza out there and that he has to be the guy day one of camp. Now, they'll leave some wiggle room to see what he does, and if he makes a move, they're not going to keep him off the field. You play the best guy. But whether he plays week 1, week 4, week 13, they seem pretty steadfast in wanting to just bring this along to where he plays when he's ready, doesn't have to be rushed, and they know they're going to be a better team than they were a year ago. I think that's the important thing. So there's just more optimism there.
What are your overall feelings of just the staff that Klint Kubiak's been able to put together? Obviously, he was the last head coach hired because he went on that Super Bowl run, and just the direction that this team is going, where it stands right now.
Yeah, I think it's positive. They have more pieces. It's just there's no other way to say it. It was a bad roster. It's not ready-made now, but it is better.
Right.
The coaching move is interesting because really it became clear early on in the head coaching process, in the candidate pool process, that Tom Brady and Klint Kubiak really hit it off because they love talking football. And, Klint Kubiak is just a no-nonsense football guy. He wants to scheme it up and coach it and have the guys run it and have a good team that's focused and motivated, and so that he lives, eats, and breathes, sleeps football. So that's a good sign for the Raiders. Yeah, so, it's a good sign for the Raiders. They still could use probably one more receiver, but they seem pretty confident. I mean, John Spytek, the GM, likes some of the young guys they have. They drafted 2 players last year, and they need to see that along. They need to see what those guys can do. So at least one of those two, either Thornton or Betch, if they can emerge, you just want to make sure you don't go 0 for 2 in that scenario. You need one of those 2 guys to be a real player for you, and then maybe you have something. And the defense should be better, I mean, there's Max Crosby. You can say what you want about the trade, but they still have an elite pass rusher who can wreck a game if you can get enough around them to help. I like the linebackers. Quay Walker is, well, I won't give it away, but he didn't make my top 10, but he was right there. He's like in that 10-11 range. So it's a really established player you're getting at that position. And, so they definitely upgrade all this. I think they got the
I think we lost him. Right there. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. Sound like he just got into his car, and we just lost him. And he was talking about the linebackers. And the linebackers will actually come up on July 14th. That's when his top 10 will drop for them, rolling out a different position each and every day. And, he's back. Okay, good. All right, so you were just wrapping up about the linebackers and Quay Walker.
Yeah, I like the linebackers they added. You got a Georgia duo there. I mean, I think in free agency they added the right pieces. They're willing to spend, but got players that will make them instantly better. And free agency has shown recently that if you have the right guys, they're going to be instant upgrades, and they're going to really produce, and it's not wasted money like it maybe used to be perceived to be. So there's no reason why the Raiders can't get better in a hurry based on those moves.
Jeremy Fowler from ESPN is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. We'll close out with this. It has nothing to do with the Raiders, but I saw Terrion Arnold, who's obviously in some situations off the field, cleared waivers today. That wasn't a big surprise to me. Do you think that there are going to be some teams that are going to reach out and be interested in him while the legal process still plays out?
Well, it's complicated. I have a hard time believing that a team is ready to sign him right now, especially with the situation ongoing. I think they want to find more information. I don't doubt that teams have called in and have shown some interest. Maybe it's a situation where he takes a free agent visit, knowing that the team's not going to sign him right now. There's too much at stake. There are too many details that have to be played out in this case for a team to jump out and take him right now. I could be wrong, but I guess the flip side is you would sign him on probably what's a minimum contract at this point, and if he's suspended for however long, you can wait that out, and you still own his rights to a good player and a former first-round pick. So maybe it makes sense, but I think these teams are doing their own due diligence right now to try to understand the scope of the situation.
Jeremy Fowler, ESPN's got his top 10 series out, the 7th annual top 10 series today. He rolled out the running backs. Tomorrow he'll be rolling out the cornerbacks. So make sure you check out ESPN.com for that. Jeremy, fantastic stuff as always. Thanks so much for giving us some time, my man. We definitely appreciate you.
Hey, yes, sir. Anytime.
Thanks so much. Great stuff right there. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. Again, he's got the cornerbacks coming up tomorrow. Edge rushers will follow that, so I'm sure Max Crosby will end up on the top 10 list there. Cornerbacks, I doubt that the Raiders will have one on that list, even though Eric Stokes played really well last year, but no interceptions, and so normally you have to have some ball production to end up on that list. We'll see. You know how it all plays out. Defensive tackles, that's coming up on July 9th. Tight ends on July 10th. Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner. I believe that the Raiders will have a representative there when it comes to the tight ends. Offensive tackles on July 11th. Interior offensive linemen on the 12th. Quarterbacks on the 13th. Off-ball linebackers on the 14th. He mentioned Quay Walker. Didn't make the top 10, but was just on the outside looking in. I think that linebacking room is going to be really good. I really do. As long as Nakobe Dean is out there healthy as well, I believe Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean are really going to help that linebacking room look a lot better than what we've seen. Wide receivers will be on the 15th, and then safeties will close things out on July 16th. So really good stuff. I know we had a little bit of phone issue with Jeremy. I can hear him make the transition. Me and Ari both looked at each other when he made the transition from walking and talking to all of a sudden getting in the car and bink. That Bluetooth gets you every time. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. Cannot tell you how many times I've been doing an interview and then walking to the car at the same time, and I hop in the car, and all of a sudden, Q, you there? Q, oh, we lost you. And then all of a sudden, ding, oh, no, here I am. I'm right there. So it happens. But the good thing with that, Ari, what that means is that he's using hands-free.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And so I will take that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I have no problem with that. I don't know about you, but it drives me crazy when I'm driving. And, me and the wife are in the car, and all of a sudden there'll be a car in front of us swerving, and I immediately go, oh, yeah, they're texting. And then you go and pull up, and I don't know how some of y'all do it. I really don't. I really don't know how y'all do it. Some of y'all are on FaceTime. Like, some of y'all are looking at the video and driving at the same time. Like, I don't know how you do it. Hell, I can barely talk and drive at the same time.
Man, it's very frustrating.
It's wild, man.
I've calmed down over the years. I'm sure you have too over the road rage. Like, I'm over it, and, I just let it go. But, man.
It just blows my mind. And it's so comfortable and easy. And again, hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. I can't knock out how you get down, but man, I'm telling you,
I can. No, honestly, like, not to be all dark here, but like if you've ever had any kind, and if you've ever had any kind of involvement in that from family, etc., then like my thought is, how do you even sleep at night doing that? But like you just have to kind of. You can't really do it. You're driving. No, you can't flick people off. Whatever. It's not going to change. So.
No, you can't do that no more.
Right? Yeah. So you just gotta. Right.
We used to be able to do that too back in the day. Man. You can't do that now.
And you get it back. They throw it back, and then you'd be on your way. Both.
Exactly.
No one wins the battle.
You give pleasantries back and forth, and then it was over.
You're number
now
one.
You're looking in your rearview mirror, and you're like, oh damn.
Right. Like
it's about to be on. It's like in Friday. Remember when Debo turned around, I was like, you want something to be too, old man? No. No, I do not.
That wasn't me.
Exactly. That was not me, my friend. Exactly. I'm gone. Why am I down here messing with these fine? Hey, man, go ahead and drive however you want to drive, man. You know what? I don't even know why I said something to you. I was just kidding. So, yeah, man, it ain't worth it these days. But, yeah, it's so funny, man, to see. It's not funny, but, just to see people trying to multitask and all that. So, man, the best invention ever was being able to plug that phone in or get the little Bluetooth action and being able to, just talk. And even if you got a text, you can voice your text. And a lot of times it's not even that important, but, that's that's the one. I'm on my way to the station whenever you start texting me in the morning.
You can't
and then I text you back, and I got to text you like 5 times because, that person, I can't say it out loud or else they'll start texting you. They get it wrong.
Yep.
So, and then I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. And so I start, wording it or, spelling it out just so you understand what the hell I'm trying to tell you. Yeah. And then I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I'm going to be at the station in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ari can wait 15 minutes. He ain't going to kill it.
By the way, the same goes for not driving when you're trying to do talk to text, as we experience almost daily with our wonderful text line. Like, it's just... We haven't figured that part out yet. We got AI, we got all these things, but we haven't quite figured out how to do talk to text properly.
Yeah. And with that being said, make sure you get your text in. Make sure you get your text in.
Safely.
That's a perfect segue, right?
Yes.
While you're being safe, make sure you get your text in. You have till 5 o'clock. Summer fun is going on right now. We've given out multiple trips while I was gone, but now we're on to the New York City trip. We still have a Mississippi River trip on the way, Southern California theme park trip, Grand Canyon and Sedona trip, Yellowstone, Grand Canyon National, and the greatest place on earth, Hawaii, as that will close out our summer of fun. So today's word is refresh. So text that to 702-365-9200. You text that word in, you're automatically in to win the summer of fun, the trip. If you want the trip, fantastic. We'll give you the trip. If you don't want the trip, $3,000. You could choose the trip or the cash. That's fantastic as well. Who could use $3,000 cash money in their bank account? I'm sure anyone and everyone could definitely appreciate that. So we do it each and every year. It's brought to you by Terribles. It's a Lotus Broadcasting Company-wide competition. And, just being able to get folks out of, the heat here in the Las Vegas area and go and have some nice trips. It's funny. Our guy JD, who's been at the station now since I think Thanksgiving, he's our operations manager there at the station. He came from Minnesota, and he's like, I don't know why everyone goes on vacation. He saw me in the hallway today. He's like, I don't know why everyone goes on vacation. We're on vacation. We're in Las Vegas. We're like, oh, no, my brother. Oh, no. You've only been here a handful of months. You'll understand sooner rather than later. Coming back to 111, 112, 115 is not the business. So
all 4 seasons in Vegas before you could start talking like that, I feel.
Right, exactly. So, hey, look, it's still the honeymoon period for him.
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
It's the honeymoon period. He's like, oh, man, this is fun. It's Vegas. It's great.
Let's
have fun. And it is nice.
God, it's 120 degrees.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy every minute of it. I do appreciate being here. But, a vacation is getting up out of here. That's a vacation. A vacation from anywhere, right? It don't matter where you are. You could be in Hawaii, and that's the greatest place on earth as far as I'm concerned. But the folks that live there, you know what? Coming to Vegas is their vacation, or going to New York City is their vacation. Look, you could always use a trip away from where you're at.
Agreed.
No matter where it is. Again.
Adventure.
Exactly. So I can't tell you how many times people said while we were on vacation, oh, you're from the 9th Island. Oh, man, I got family and friends that are there. And that's cool. That's cool. We came here to hang out with y'all, right? And then you guys turn around and hang out with us. You come and want to hang out with us. So that's how it works. Works both ways. I'm not mad at that at all. But very thankful for Jeremy Fowler and his time this afternoon. Again, he's got his top 10 series started. And as you heard him break it down, man, it takes multiple months to put this bad boy together, and that's why I really respect it. Again, you could come up with a top 10 list. Hell, me and Ari can come up with a top 10 list and be like, all right, let's just pick the top 10 running backs and quarterbacks and wide receivers and this, that, and the other, and we'll do that. It's ranking season. We'll end up doing that. I'll do it on ESPN radio on game night. I guarantee. Matter of fact, tonight, top 5 storylines, right? But that's not top 5 storylines in the NFL, according to executives and coaches and front office guys and scouts and all that. It's just according to me. So my top 5 storylines are going to be different than Ari's, which is going to be different than yours. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it is. But when you get the execs involved, you get coaches and scouts involved, I feel like it just means a little bit more. And it's not, as I said before, when it came to just rushing yards, it's not necessarily just the yards. If you're going off that, James Cook was the number 1 running back in the league last year. And you see he came in at number 7. And he was actually up. I said he dropped off. He actually was up 1 spot. He was 8 last year and it went up to number 7, even though he was the number 1 running back as far as yards concerned for Buffalo. But you look at Buffalo and you say, who's the most important person there? Josh Allen, right? You look at the 49ers, for example, who's the most important person there? As much as I'd say Brock Purdy is huge, I would also argue that Christian McCaffrey plays a huge role. I would also argue that Trent Williams plays a huge role. George Kittle plays a huge role. So everything is not equal and even as far as I'm concerned. But we do want to get your thoughts on Ashton Jeanty. Can Ashton Jeanty become a top 10 running back in year 1 under head coach Klint Kubiak? What do you think would need to happen for him to get there? Let us know your thoughts at 702-365-9200. And guess what? We return to action on today. And we have to flush a performance. So we got that coming up. We'll do that next. Thanks to Moonlight Plumbing. We definitely appreciate them. And we'll get our flush on. We'll do it next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
This is baseball in 2026. I was watching that play out yesterday, and his pitch count is going up, and I'm thinking there's no chance that he finishes this game. The Marlins manager said, look, the plan going into the game was that he was going to throw 90-plus pitches. He was at 92 after 7 innings. You don't see managers go rogue anymore. Even Eury Perez after the game said, I got it. We talked before the game, 90-plus pitches. They are not going to deviate from the big picture in this era.
It's time to flush it. Brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing.
And sometimes you just got to deviate from the big plan, the big picture. Sometimes you got to look at the big picture and say, you know what? The big picture is not what the business is, because right now the business is what's taking place on the field, on the diamond, on the court, whatever the case may be. It's Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. We come into the sounds of Buster Olney from ESPN talking about a performance with the Miami Marlins and the Oakland A's. I say Oakland A's, they're actually going to be, what are they, the Oakland A's? No, they're the Sacramento A's. They'll be the Las Vegas A's in 2028. I'll never get over saying they're always going to be the Oakland A's to me, but there it is. But, yeah, that was – Ari's like,
that's
I don't
exactly
know.
my reaction every time. I don't know what to say anymore. So.
Just call them the – I would call them the A's, but it's so short, so I feel like I have to call them the Athletics.
I like the Oakland baseball team for now, or the Las Vegas baseball team like they did with Washington, but that was terrible.
I was calling them the Sacramento A's by way of Oakland.
That's great.
But then they're going to be here in Vegas, and obviously you can hear their games now on our sister stations. So between ESPN Las Vegas, Fox Sports Las Vegas, VSiN 1230 The Game, we have their games broadcast all the time. So we're excited about that. Excited about the stadium coming together and, what it'll look like when they are here in Las Vegas. But, yeah, I always get confused on what I officially want to call them since I, grew up an Oakland A's fan. So I feel like that they're the Sacramento A's by way of Oakland on their way to Vegas.
That's catchy.
We call them that. Right. So, with that being said, you can imagine what we're doing here on RaiderNation Radio 920 as we have to flush a performance brought to you by our good friends at Moonlight Plumbing. And it does come from the world of Major League Baseball, in particular the Miami Marlins, but not what the players did on the field. Because I say all the time, right? Anyone can get flushed around here on this fine program. I can get flushed. You can get flushed. Managers can get flushed. And that's what's happened in this case. Clayton McCullough of the Miami Marlins made a decision on Sunday versus the Athletics. Their pitcher, Eury Perez, was 6 outs away from pitching the first perfect game in franchise history. That's 33 years Sunday. And manager Clayton McCullough, he pulled the plug. Basically, he flushed the performance of Perez. Perez was cooking with grease. He had made his third start since returning from the IL. He was lifted after throwing 92 pitches over 7 perfect innings. And look, I get it. I absolutely get it. Hey, we had a pitch count. That was the plan going in. That's what McCullough, the manager, said. We weren't going to deviate away from it like you heard Buster Olney. But look, man, Perez is 23 years old. He never tossed a complete game in his Major League career. Right? He struck out 8 before giving way to the bullpen. They were just dominating the A's, right? He was the youngest player with the perfect game bid through 7 innings since Pedro Martinez was 22 years old back in 1994. But now since they pulled him, Perez is known as the first pitcher to be pulled from the game after throwing 7 or more perfect innings since Clayton Kershaw on April 13th, 2022. McCullough said following the game, going into the game, 90-plus was the pitch count. Look at us play beyond the regular season. Eury's going to be an important part of that. McCullough said he had it really going today. So the funny thing about that is the manager acknowledged that he had it going today. And this is what I don't like about baseball now. Baseball back in the day, and I get it, it's not baseball back in the day. I know I'm an old man, get off my lawn, I get it. But, man, that's an opportunity. At 23 years old, could you imagine being a Major League Baseball pitcher? You had never pitched a complete game, and you were on the verge of pitching a perfect game. You had already gone through 7 innings, right? All you needed was 6 more outs, and you would have had a chance. He would have had a chance to be the 25th person to throw a perfect game. There's only been 24 perfect games in Major League Baseball history. Right? Matter of fact, the last one to do it was Domingo Germán from the Yankees. That was back against the A's. Going back in 2023, he threw that 2 days after his uncle passed away, and that was a hell of a performance by him. But it's not like it's a a no-hitter. No-hitters happen. I know they're not as big and important as they used to be. Back in the day, a no-hitter was the end-all, be-all. Like, man, he threw a no-hitter. That's fantastic. Now, it's like, okay, those things happen. Now you see pitchers give away to the bullpen, and they'll come in, and they'll have, like, 3 pitchers will combine for a no-hitter. Okay, fine. So if you're going to stick to the game plan for a no-hitter, fine. But a perfect game? A perfect game, he had an opportunity to do something that only 24 pitchers had done. And the Marlins, as I mentioned at top, have not had a perfect game thrown in their 33-year history. And I think the worst part of this whole situation, Ari, and again, shout out to Moonlight Plumbing for sponsoring this fantastic segment, he was removed after having the opportunity to throw a perfect game. The Marlins almost lost the game. They were up 9-0 when he was removed. You know what the final score was? 9-8. 9-8. They finished the game barely winning 9-8 after pulling my man because they wanted to keep him to a snap count. Right? We're only going to let him pitch so many. And again, I get it. I understand. The analytics are in it. The numbers are there. These day and age, people rarely go over 100 pitches. But sometimes, man, you just got to let it rip. Like, I remember when Domingo Germán threw that perfect game. I was on the air when he threw that game. And I remember we were all rooting for him to finish that off. At some point, it don't matter if you're an A's fan, a Marlins fan, a Giants fan. It don't matter who you're a fan of. If someone is that close to a perfect game, you start rooting for them. Right? You just want to see them get it done because it's so rare that it happens. So everyone in the stadium knows, hey, he's got a perfect game going. Everyone in his dugout, his teammates, they all know there's a perfect game going. And Clayton McCullough, of all people, knew he had a perfect game going. And instead, he stuck to the script. Look, was it the right decision in the end of the day? Maybe. But, man, what's the chances? All I think about is what's the chances that this young man's going to ever be in that position to throw a perfect game again? If it was me, you would have had to like hit me with a taser or something. He would have said, Q, you're done, man. 7 innings, you're done. I'd have been like, yeah, okay. And then as soon as the 8th inning got ready to get started, I'd be walking my behind right out there. You'd have to hit me with a taser. Just drop me right there. Bink.
I feel like you'd be sitting down on the mound. Just
man, I'd be having a sit-in, man.
Exactly.
Like, come on, man. I'm 23 years old. I ain't ever gonna have this chance again. I'm cooking with grease. They can't hit me. Like, give me an opportunity. At least let me go out here and try. If I walk a guy or if I give up a hit, okay, fine, pull me. But at least give me the chance.
I also feel like now he is going to be part of history as the pitcher in the situation that almost got it, and that's even worse. Almost.
That's what I'm saying. And he was cool. Like, I'll give Perez so much credit. He was so cool after the game. He's like, hey, I get it. I understand. It's a long-term plan. I think that was a guy being nice. I wouldn't have been that nice. Hey, Q, how do you feel? I'm angry. You know how I feel. I'm mad. I'd have been like I was when Khalil Mack got traded and homeboy stuck his head in the studio. I was like, hey, Q, how you feeling? You know how I'm feeling. I'm feeling mad. I'm angry. I just had an opportunity to do something that not too many greats, all-time greats have done. Like, I get it. Clayton Kershaw got pulled in 2022. Clayton Kershaw is an all-time great. Clayton Kershaw is going to be in Cooperstown. Right, he is a fantastic pitcher. No, there's no telling that Eury Perez is ever going to even be a good pitcher again. Right? I mean, think about the what's his name, Dallas Braden. Right, that was his name, the pitcher for the A's that threw the perfect game on Mother's Day or the no hitter on Mother's Day. Like, he was a good pitcher, but he wasn't fantastic. Now he's part of the broadcast team. I should know exactly his name, but that's I mean. Hell, he follows me on Twitter. So.
I got the tweet, actually, from him. Woke up feeling awful about the Eury Perez outing.
Oh, okay. See, thank you. So,
I mean, there's more,
what is he on Twitter? What's his name on Twitter?
Dallas Braden 209.
There you go. Yeah, because he's from the 209, representing. Yes, but, so he had his moment in the sun on the mound, right? He had a hell of a performance. Like I said, it was on Mother's Day. It was a great dedication. I mean, it was fantastic. Those are once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. I'm sorry, at some point, man, you got to just let the analytics and all that other stuff go. Hey, man, my guy's cooking. I'm going to give him at least a chance. He's at 92 pitches. 6 outs to go. Let's carry the one, do the math here. All right, maybe he gets to 102, right? Maybe if he ends up at 110, 115 or something like that, something's gone wrong. So we could probably pull him. If he has to get to that many pitches, something's probably gone wrong. Unless somebody was up there like Tony Gwynn came back and it was, fouling off everything. But batters don't bat like that. Like Tony Gwynn was something, man, rest in peace. He was the dude. Like that dude, he didn't strike out. That was one of those things. He was bink, bink, bink. He's going to put the bat on the ball. And he's going to battle and battle and battle. So unless it was going to be a at-bat like that where you had to throw 15 pitches, I don't see it. I just don't. I just didn't like it because I thought it was a chance at history. Again, there's only been 24 perfect games in big league history. He had an opportunity to be number 25, and instead, Clayton McCullough, the Miami Marlins manager, he made the pull. So we make the flush. I had to flush it one more time. Just had to, because I worked myself up, all right, so I had to flush it.
Actually, Robert on the text line agrees. He said, flush that manager one more time, Q. To hell with the plan. To hell with the plan. Perfect game is special, straight garbage.
Yeah, it is. It's special, man.
Well
it's
done.
Special. So I knew immediately when that happened, especially the fact that they barely won the game, that I had to give them the flush today. And so, again, having a lot of fun with that. And shout out to Moonlight Plumbing for making it all possible for us. As they say, from sun up till moonlight, affordable, dependable plumbing professionals serving Las Vegas since 2016. They mean business. No problem is too big or too small for Moonlight. Their services range from residential leaky faucet repair, water heater replacement, commercial plumbing, all kind full remodels. You can give them a call if you want at 702-355-3938. You can also hit them, as I always think, the best way to hit them, moonlightplumbing.vegas. Moonlightplumbing.vegas.
Flush It is brought to you by Moonlight Plumbing. Affordable, dependable plumbing professionals serving Las Vegas since 2016. We mean business.
And we mean business as well. And anytime that you see a performance that we may have missed and you think it needs to be flushed, you can always hit us up on the text line and let us know at 702-365-9200. We do want to get back to the conversation that we've been having when it comes to Ashton Jeanty and him being a top 10 running back in 2026, first year with head coach Klint Kubiak, and how important he'll be to the mix. And Rob in Oakland, it's always great to hear from him, chimed in on the text line. As with most running games, I think it all starts with the offensive line. The technique, scheme, and execution could hold Ashton back, make him average, or give him opportunities to crush the league. I'm hoping for the latter. Everyone at RaiderNation Radio has been grinding so hard, though, through consecutive seasons. I'm happy people got good time to get away and rest up. Thank you for all the hard work. That's Rob in Oakland. And, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors that play into what Ashton's going to do this year. I think, and I said it the day that he got hired, him being Klint Kubiak, that Ashton should be the happiest dude in the building. There's always been, as Jeremy Fowler joined us at the top of the hour, that Klint Kubiak's offense is always going to have a running game that's going to be successful. It's always going to be a running game that's going to be critical to the success of the offense, and that to me is huge. I think obviously the health of Brock Bowers is huge, and if you can get these other guys involved in the offense as well, from Trey Tucker to Speedy Naylor, right, to Big Mike, Besh, one of the questions, who's going to be that third down, the guy that can extend drives. Besh could easily be that dude. I think that when he was drafted in the second round last year, he was drafted to be a guy very similar to, have the same skill set as a Jacoby Myers, not the same guy, but the same skill set. And Jacoby was one of those guys that you can look to and count on third down and extend some drives. So I think Besh could do that, play that role. Obviously be very physical at the line of scrimmage. That's something that we're not going to see in minicamp. We didn't see in minicamp. You'll probably see more in training camp once the pads go on, and you'll obviously see it in preseason action as well. So everything has to come together, but I really do believe with the skill set that Jeanty has, he could be such a factor in this offense. And again, I'm not going to say, like Jeremy said, I'm not going to put, Christian McCaffrey on him because that's a hell of a compliment. But I do think he can have Christian McCaffrey type, production and Christian McCaffrey type effect on the offense for the Raiders, where he's doing a ton of heavy lifting, not only running the rock, but also catching the ball out of the backfield. Again, let us know your thoughts, Rob. It's always good to hear from you. 702-365-9200. Just saw that text from Rob. I like that. Rob in the 702, flush that manager one more time. That was good. Yeah, that's man. I agree, man. That's a damn shame. That is a damn shame. But there you go. So give us your feedback. 702-365-9200. We'll close out the show. We'll close out hour number 3 and the show hearing from you. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
Now back to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right.
All right, well, there it is. Just like that, we just about got day one back in the books. It's almost a done deal. Ari, I don't know if we were able to, ride the vehicle the right way. I don't know. We, hit the curves the right way. We didn't. I don't know if we were quite in the fast lane, just letting it full throttle. But I think we did all right for day one back.
I love it, man. I've been here this whole time. Now I haven't done the show, obviously, but I definitely.
Oh, so now you're bragging. Now see how you are. Now you're bragging.
That is not a brag.
I've been here the whole time, Q. Just because you were gone doesn't mean that we were gone.
That did sound a little arrogant, didn't it?
It did. I didn't do that when you were gone. I was saying,
fair.
Man,
I meant like there was a part two to that which was. Okay. With me being around but not doing the show, I feel like we got right. I'm back. For me, this is great. Like, back right into normalcy for me. I need routine. I need the 2 to 5 Monday through Friday, just like a lot of our listeners. So it felt great to me. So, hey, I don't care about your feelings. I'm just kidding. No, it feels good, man. It's good stuff.
It was fun. It was
Definitely.
fun. Really good feedback. Appreciate all the calls and texts, whether it was on the topic that we were talking about, something else. But I'll tell you what, man, as we look at the calendar and it's almost July 7th, knowing that pretty soon we'll be back at the Raiders facility, and every single day we'll be coming in after practice and after talking to coaches and players and observing practice, and just, man, it's going to be a fun time. I think there's so much excitement right now with Raider Nation, and it's funny, even traveling, seeing Raider fans at the airport, or seeing Raider fans in Hawaii, just seeing some hats and seeing T-shirts or jerseys. I never did discover there was a dude that when we left Hawaii, we left Maui, and we had to first fly to Honolulu, and then it was a quick 30-minute flight there, 25-minute flight, whatever, and then we got on our plane back to Vegas, and there was a dude with the number 5 jersey on, and I, for the life of me, could not figure out who that was, what jersey that was. It was a number 5 Raiders jersey. And I was thinking to my head, and the wife had her Raider hat on, and so he said something to her like, hey, nice hat. So I know that it was a white one too, so it wasn't like it was the home one. And I kept thinking, number 5, is that – I was like, was that Kerry Collins from back in the day? Was that, Rick Meyer? I think was he number 5 or was he number 3? I'm thinking, who in the hell was number 5? That it could have been, but yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is, I guess.
Oh, so there was no name. Okay, I
didn't. No, he had a backpack on.
Gotcha.
So I couldn't figure out. And I didn't want to be that guy, and it was kind of early in the morning, so I was definitely not in the mood to be like, oh, I'm gonna go ask this guy exactly who it was.
I mean, Kerry Collins is one. You got Divine Diablo. I don't know about him, but it could be Eric Stokes. That's what my research has told me, that is that number 5 for him, or is that not going to be this season?
No, Eric Stokes was 11 last year. Eric Stokes
is he now 5? This is why
I thought he changed his number, but
we're right back into the groove. If I'm
he is number
AI
5 this year.
researched.
No, you're right. He is number 5 this year. I don't think it was the Eric Stokes jersey. Only because it's so fresh.
Honestly, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it was in the season, then maybe. I don't know.
I agree. I mean,
it's super fresh.
How old would you say this gentleman was? Because that's kind of relevant, right? You got Shane Leckler in 2000 to 2003. The punter, that's being.
Oh, it could have been a Leckler. I didn't think about
those are the 3 names. Yeah,
that would have been the best guess. And then I was trying to see. I thought it was a Reebok jersey, but it was Nike. So then you had to decipher. See, this is the kind of stupid stuff I'm doing while I'm on vacation.
Top 10 hard jerseys to figure out.
I'm trying to break down what a dude's jersey is that's at the airport, waiting to get on the damn plane.
Great.
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I was on my way back from vacation, so I guess it's okay.
Going there, chill out. Take some time.
No. Going there, jerseys was not on my mind. Trust and believe that. Good. Going there, the flight and 5 was involved, but it wasn't jerseys. It may have been beverages. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there, right? All you got to do, I say it all the time, all you got to do is make it to the plane. Just make it to the plane, and you're good to go after that. Yeah, exactly. So, no, it was funny. But the whole point is there was plenty of people that, I ran into that were talking about the Raiders and have brought up the Raiders. And, oh, hey, man, what do you think about this season? And, they don't know me from Adam, and that was the cool thing. It wasn't like I was sitting there running around being like, hey, I'm on the radio, right? No, it wasn't that. It was just in general, there was people that were talking about the Raiders. I think that there's a lot of excitement about this team for a lot of good reasons. Everything that has gone on from the minute that, Pete Carroll got fired, and as you know, I don't root for anyone to get fired, but once it happened and the decision was made, okay, then they moved on. And I think that the Raiders attacked this offseason. Like, that was the biggest thing. It wasn't like we've seen some offseasons where it seems like that they just kind of sit back and get the leftovers. You know what I mean? Like, all right, well, this is the free agents that are available. I can't remember what year it was, but Reggie McKenzie had a ton of money, $100-something million, and it seemed like he didn't do anything like the first 2 days of free agency. And I think everyone's like, well, what's he doing? Is he awake? What's going on? And then that's when, because he had a twin, and there was that video of, and I think it was his brother that was at the combine, but he looked like he was asleep. And so everyone's like, that was the big knock, like, oh man, Big Reg is asleep at the wheel or something. And so it's been years where it's felt like this offseason they didn't attack the offseason. They just kind of waited and let it come to them, and just made some decisions that weren't the right decisions, or else they spent money on free agents, and it seemed like they were just spending money to spend money. It felt like the free agents that they spent money on was for a reason and a purpose, and that led into what they did in the draft. And, even, and I've said it 1,000 times, even the situation with Max, how it went one way, it looked one way, and then it went back, and now he's still on the Raiders, that still worked out just fine. It didn't seem like, they hit the panic button or, oh, my gosh, what are we going to do now? Like, they just rolled with it. And it just seemed like everything has gone smoothly. The coaching staff has given a lot of people confidence so far. Again, small sample size, only minicamp and mandatory minicamp. But when we see training camp, we'll really have a better idea. But, man, there's a lot to be excited about when it comes to this team. And I've been very hesitant, and I'm not going to do it, put a win total. My expectations, they're going to win 10 games, or play the win-loss game through the schedule, just because you never know what teams look like. You never know what the health of the team is, what teams are good that were bad, what teams are bad that were good. You just don't know. But it does feel like that this team is headed in the right direction. I'm just glad that we're here for the ride. I'm glad that we're here to be able to document it each and every day, talk about what we see that's good, talk about what we see that's bad, and see how this thing is all put together. And, as Kirk Morrison brought up in the first hour, put together that Raiders championship weekend, if and when they hoist another Lombardi, something that we talked about here on this show as well. So we'll be back at the same time tomorrow at 2 o'clock here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Have a good night.